There's a rumble in the distance, something stirring up the ground. Coffee shops and corner stores, people talking all around. But the words they're speaking softly got a weight that pulls you down. Something's moving through the grapevine, word by word from town to town. And they lean in close to tell you what they heard somebody say. But the truth gets bent and twisted as it travels on its way. Who do you trust? When the talk gets low, who do you trust? When the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow, who do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Backroom deals and handshake, promises sliding underneath the door. Politicians playing poker with the chips are rich and poor. Every word's a calculation, every pause worth so much more. While the people keep on waiting for the truth they're hungry for. And they lean in close to tell you what they heard somebody say. But the truth gets bent and twisted as it travels on its way. Who do you trust? When the talk gets low, who do you trust? When the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow, do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Growing thicker, every lie becomes the truth, and the honest voices calling sound like strangers in the booth. We're all just trying to listen to the static and the noise, but the loudest information drowns out the quieter voice. Who do you trust? When the talk gets low, who you trust? When the whispers grow in the halls of power where the secrets flow, who you trust? Tell me who do you trust? Who you trust? Do you trust? Do you trust? Do you trust? When the whispers grow.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Political Theater, everybody. I'm your host, Walter Kurt. Thank you guys for being here this evening. If you guys are listening to us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you guys may be listening, make sure you guys give us a review there. If you were on Apple, or if you're on X, make sure you guys share the link out. Make sure people know that we are live. Thank you guys for showing up. We got a lot to talk about. Before we even get into anything for the show for this evening, though, I really want to talk about something that's been bothering me. Especially across the right, and I know everybody's paying attention to it because it's all people are talking about. I mean, it's endless. It's endless. The demoralization that I'm seeing across the spectrum on the right it's become so apparent to me that it's just, and I don't know how to fix it really, because there's so many people that have big audiences that are fomenting it and constantly talking about it, and it's endless, just on and on and on and on and on. And they're not going to stop talking about it. And there's nothing I can seem to really do to fix that, at least not where I am now. But what I can say is, at least to my audience, is that I don't want people to be demoralized at all. It doesn't help you to be worried that, oh, my goodness, it's all over. We're not going to make it. Trump's going to fail. It's over. His presidency's done. MAGA's dead. I mean, I've seen this from everybody. Well, not everybody. Okay, like there's a coalition of people on the right that are doing this, that are fomenting this ridiculousness. And I guess the problem I have with these people is that what are you talking about? Why are you saying that everything is over, that Trump's done, that he's, the presidency's finished, that you should be demoralized, be upset, be worried, like, let me ask a question. Why did you vote for Trump? If you think about this for a minute, okay, like you personally, just take a minute and think about it. What was it that drove you to vote for Trump? Was it him? Was it just Trump by himself that made you vote for him? Was it just his unique personality that made you want to vote for him? Or was it the things that he was saying? Was it the stuff that he said? Was it the motivating idea that we can actually take our country back and actually make sure that we get the elites in Washington, D.C., actually fight back against them and actually fix the problems that we have in this country? Is that why you voted for him, or did you just vote for him because he's Trump? Is it like what? Answer the question on your own. But I think the more important part of this is that listening to people say that MAGA is dead somehow and that we all need to give up, that it doesn't matter, that the deep state's going to take back control, that all of this number of things, there's all sorts of things that people are talking about right now. And I look at this and I say, well, what do you mean? Even if Trump fails on everything, that doesn't mean you give up. That doesn't mean that it's over, that the country's done. You just, disengage and you never go back into politics ever again. It's the opposite, actually. If they really stop Trump from doing anything and it never works out and, it turns out special interests got too much control, then we just try again. You don't give up. There's no demoralization doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help at all. And I'm watching the right fight with itself when the left should be on their back foot right now. I mean, after this, what they just did with this Epstein stuff, which is just so stupid. I mean, the whole thing about the Epstein stuff is awful. They are now having to delete posts. They're having to walk back things. Jen Psaki's out there freaking out saying, well, I didn't actually say what I mean. I didn't mean to say it like that. This is a moment where we should be attacking. We should be attacking the left, and we should be hitting them hard because this is a huge misstep for them. And instead, I'm seeing the right fight about whatever Candace Owens is talking about today. I don't care what Candace Owens is talking about today. If you're not on board with continuing the mission that we all set out to do when we all finally looked at someone like Trump, a flawed candidate, but obviously an authentic candidate that was willing to stand up and say what we all were thinking, okay, if you're not willing to continue that mission, then I don't know what to say. You need to get out of our way and let us get back to what we were doing. I mean, this infighting is nonsense. I mean, it's just, I'm not even paying any attention to it anymore. I'm not going to. I can't fix the problem from the top level of this because the people that are arguing about this stuff they have such massive platforms. There's nothing that I could ever do to stop them from talking. But what I can do is I can make sure that what I talk about is the opposite. We should never be demoralized ever in any of this. We should always be thinking you never give up, never surrender, only continue to fight forward, only continue to move forward and figure out the next thing we got to do. If the Republican Party isn't going to help us, then we have to do it ourselves. And if there's no one else, then you start something on your own and do it on your own. That's the only answer. It's the only answer because if you don't, what's the other option? Like, what is the other option? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to give up completely, stop engaging in politics and let everybody get taken over by the gay communists? Is that what you want? It's not an option, people. It's not an option to just give up and say, oh, my goodness, Trump failed. He's turned his back on the base. And, because I don't like the H-1B visa thing, I just need to sit here and say, well, I'm never going to vote for anybody ever again. I'm not going to do anything. That doesn't help you at all. It only is going to make things worse. So if you don't like what's happening, I keep telling people about this, that you need to get more engaged. You should double down. You shouldn't be demoralized. You should be angry. If you don't like what's happening, make noise about it and make sure you're heard. And if you don't like what's happening and you want to think you can change it, you should try and change it. That's what needs to happen. We need to stop sitting here letting people demoralize half of the right because of infighting about things that do not matter. They don't matter. They don't. Okay, they're sitting here and arguing about whether or not Turning Point USA was involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination is not only a ridiculous notion, but it is just completely and totally pointless. What are we doing? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me to sit here and fight about things that are so irrelevant that you don't have any of the information. No one has any of the information. The FBI, the internals of that, they're not going to release evidence to you. Okay, that's not how that works. But fighting about it is just stupid. fighting about it and then it's saying, well, anybody that says I disagree, I'm not MAGA anymore, you're not MAGA anymore. You know what? I don't have time for any of that. If you're going to sit there and fight with yourselves all day long, every single day, you deserve to be ignored. That's what should happen. You should be ignored because there are millions of people in this country that when we all got behind President Trump, the reason we got behind him is not just because he's Trump and we love Trump. That's not the only reason we did it. We did it because we want to take our country back. Well, we actually want to fix things. We want things to work. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's Trump or if it's Vance or if it's somebody else. The mission is the same. And you should never forget that. And there's so many people out there right now that are screaming, oh, just it's done. We're finished. Presidency's over. And it's happening from both the right and the left. I mean, the left is saying because we've released redacted Epstein files that are nonsense and claiming that Trump was hanging out with Epstein on Thanksgiving in 2017, which was already proven to be a lie. I mean, that didn't take 10 minutes before that was proven a lie. So they're saying he needs to resign over that. And then the other half of the right saying that Trump needs to go away and then we need to give up on MAGA because of Israel or something. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's nonsense on both sides. And I know everybody knows that. If you talk to people out on the street, okay, how many people are sitting here talking about the things that people are talking about online right now? I don't know any of them. I talk to people a lot. I don't hear anybody ever mention to me Israel, okay? I never hear it on the street. I never hear people talking about it in church. I never hear people talk about Israel, okay? No one cares. Stop talking about it. I don't care. I know you get a lot of clicks from it or whatever, but that's just not interesting, okay? Like, what do you... We're sitting here letting people dictate the narrative from a different perspective. And that's what's bothering me. I guess, the mainstream media, when they had control of the narrative, right, they just ran one single narrative and everybody followed in line and all that. But now we've got a diversified media, and the people that have the largest move in that are deciding that, well, they realize how much control they have over the narrative, and they just talk about whatever the hell they want. They don't care about what's actually happening. It doesn't matter to them. They want to fight about something that is so stupid that it doesn't matter. But it's time that at least somebody attempts to bring it back in the opposite direction, because, if Charlie Kirk was really the glue holding everything together, that is a travesty that now the left knows that they can just assassinate our best leaders. And that means that it'll just completely devastate the right to the point that it's almost unrecoverable, which I refuse to accept. I mean, I refuse to accept that the right's just going to collapse, that the MAGA movement's going to die because people can't stop fighting with each other. I'm just, to me, if you don't care about what you voted for, if you only voted just for President Trump, then you're part of the problem. You're not paying attention. Okay, the mission would have never stopped just with Trump. Obviously, it has to continue after his presidency is over because he can only be in this presidency this term. This is it. Okay, the movement has to move on, not just from Trump, but it has to continue. And we can't be demoralized by idiots fighting with each other about things that do not matter. It's just, it's infuriating to watch. I mean, when I was in Virginia, working on the ground, trying to do everything I could. And I came back that day. It's the day before the election. I was out on the ground, trying to get the vote out as much as I possibly could. 19 hours I was outside doing that. And then I go out and I look online, and what are people talking about? Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. Woo! What are you doing? Like, you want to lose. Like, that's the people that are talking about anything other than trying to fight the left right now, you just want to lose. I don't have time to worry about whether or not you like Nick Fuentes, whether you like Tucker Carlson, whether you don't think that what's happening around Charlie Kirk's assassination is true or not. None of it matters. Okay, you have an opposing party that is still unified, even though they're lunatics. They're still unified, and they're laughing at us. Right now, because of the stuff with the Epstein stuff, we should be hitting them back badly. But instead, what's the number one trending thing? Number one trending thing is Charlie Kirk's shooting fuels conservative conspiracy theories in infighting. That's the top trending item in news. Wonderful. I mean, this is so stupid. And there's nothing to be done about these people, so you just need to start tuning them out. And if anybody in the audience that we have here in my show, I don't care about this infighting at all anymore. It's not worth listening to. There's nothing we can do to stop them from fighting with each other. Just let them go and just move on and find new people to listen to. Just tune them out. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know how to fix the problem. My audience, my intention with this show is I'm not going to focus on what the infighting is because it is endless. It's not going away. They won't talk to each other. They won't debate. They won't go sit down on a stage somewhere and debate and finish this once and for all. They just want it to be, we're going to pull a 16-second out of context clip from a clip you did 3 months ago, and we're going to post it, and then we're going to all talk about it, and we're going to take it out of context, and we're all going to fight about that. That's so dumb. It's so stupid. I don't have time for that. Like, no one cares. Okay, there's like a pop culture of the internet now. Like, it's like political pop culture is what I'm going to start calling it. I mean, it's ridiculous. No one cares about this stuff. I don't know where this all started coming from. And my theory I floated a couple weeks ago was that we're essentially seeing the new creation of like Hollywood gossip. That's essentially what we're seeing. It's like, this person said this and that person said this and this person 10 years ago did this. Like, God, like, guys, there's more important things happening, okay? There are significantly more important things happening. We've got half the fleet down in Venezuela right now. The country is now getting billions of dollars in new investments. There's a new factory showing up in South Carolina, thousands of jobs. No one's talking about that. There's all sorts of stuff happening. But everyone just wants to talk about the one little thing that they care about the most. And that's just infuriating, okay? Because when I started paying attention to Trump's movement, when I started paying attention to Republican politics again, and after I'd left it for many years, I looked around and realized that, maybe it was in time we actually focused on things that really mattered and made a difference for Americans. And I thought that was the whole point. I thought that was the whole purpose of what we were doing. I thought that was what everybody was on board with, that everyone was like, no, the country's in trouble. It's got problems. Let's fix it. Let's fix it. And it's not let Trump fix it. I thought we learned that lesson already. I thought we learned that lesson with 2020 because we all thought that in 2020, Trump was going to win. We just assumed he had it. He was going to be all fine. We were going to do it. It was all going to be okay. Trump was going to win in 2020. Then he lost. And then everyone, I thought, realized at that moment that, oh my God, we really have to figure this out because we're in serious trouble as a country. They just stole an election. Everyone knows it. No one believes that Joe Biden got 90 million votes. No one. Okay, no one believes it at all. In fact, they don't even believe it because they don't have Joe Biden out there anywhere. Obama's the previous president, according to the Democrats. Biden doesn't exist. Like, he's just non-existent anymore. No one cares about Biden. No one talks about him. Everyone pretends he never happened. He's the dash between 45 and 47. That's all he is. I mean, it's amazing that we just seem to forget where we just were so quickly. It hasn't even been a year. It hasn't been a year, and people are forgetting what the whole purpose of what we started doing this movement for in the first place. And I refuse to let it happen. I mean, I'm not going to. I'm going to figure out whatever I can possibly do. I was on this morning with John Fredericks this morning, and he was talking about trying to rally and create a new organization to try and make sure they defeat the constitutional referendum to keep the redistricting from happening in Virginia. Yeah, that's a great thing to do. That's something we should be doing. That's absolutely something we should be focused on. That's only a few months away. That's not in the midterms. That's not all the way next year. That's just a few months from now. We should be focused on that right now so we can defeat the Democrats in a redistricting plan so they don't be able to get more seats in the House, so we don't lose more seats in the House. There's a good goal. That's something to focus on. That is something important. But how many people are talking about that? Ask yourself, how many people are talking about the fact that the only reason that they got Jay Jones elected down in Virginia is so that they could redistrict? That's the only reason they did it. They didn't care about Abigail Spanberger. They didn't care about any of that stuff. They needed the attorney general seat. That's why Obama, Bill Nye the science guy, Pete Buttigieg, the whole team showed up all at once just for that purpose. That was the only reason that they were all there, because they wanted the redistricting. That's what they're all focused on. The Democrats have a different game plan. And I've said it before, that they play on a different game. We're not playing the same game as them. They treat this like an actual war. They don't care what they have to meet, what they have to concede to be able to get the power that they want to be able to beat us back. And the right's sitting here arguing about, oh my God, Trump and H-1Bs and Israel and stupid stuff. And, look, we can argue and criticize the moves that the Trump administration's made with the H-1Bs. I don't like it. I think it's a dumb idea, but let's make a lot of noise about it. But that doesn't mean that we just we give up. The administration's over. We give up. It's all done. Everyone just stop now. We just stop today. We give up. We're going to let the left take back over because, that was so much better. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? What are you thinking? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me that people are just going to sit here and give up on everything because of a couple missteps or something like that. And it hasn't even been a year. Okay, I mean, I want things to happen too. Of course I do. But if Trump doesn't get them done, that doesn't mean that I'm just going to say, well, let the Democrats take care of it because they'll do a great job. If the Democrats take back over, I'll be in jail. They'll put me in the gulag. I'll be in the first re-education camp. Now, it'll be kind of cool because all my friends will be there. But, I mean, look, if you think that the Democrats are going to be nice to us and they come back and take over, you guys are nuts. Okay, they are going to be way more ruthless if we let them regain control. And everyone wants to still argue about their little tiny pet projects or whatever it is that they don't like. We don't have time for this, guys. Criticize the administration when they make mistakes, when they make PR moves that are stupid. The H-1B thing is just ridiculous to me that they've let this spiral. I don't understand why they're just not talking about the executive order that Trump just signed the other day that had 100,000, you have to now pay $100,000 in taxes. Otherwise, you have to hire an American. Why aren't they just blasting that from the rooftops? I don't understand. But that's a different style of criticism from saying, oh, my God, I gave up on MAGA. MAGA's dead. We're never going to make America great again now. We're just going to make sure that America sucks. Is that what your message is? Is that what you want? You want America to suck? That's your plan? That's your idea? It's insane to me. It's insane to me, and I refuse to let it happen. I refuse to do it, and I don't care if I have to work 22-hour days and only sleep once in the next year. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure it doesn't happen. That's my goal, and I hope everybody else is on the same page. And if you want to follow it, then get on board. I'll help you get involved. I'll help you do whatever you want. If you want to get involved, you want to try and make sure we actually get back to being focused, then, follow this page, follow this show, follow me, do whatever you can. Anything you can do to try and support that idea, then, that's the only thing I can say for people, because there are way too many people that are distracted, and I don't know how to fix the distraction level. I can't fix it. It's too big. It's too many people that are talking about it. There's too many people that are distracted by it, and I can't fix it. So the only thing I can do is ignore them and double down on being engaged and going out there and trying to get things done. That's the only thing I can do, and that's all I'm going to do. So, okay, guys, with that in mind, we're going to open up with the rest of the show. Thank you guys for being here this evening. I'm going to bring my co-host here, Jacktron, up. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys share this show. This is the Political Theater Weeknights at 9. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys want to support this show, make sure you go to WCDispatch.com and you can subscribe to me there. If you're on X, you can actually just subscribe to me directly on here, directly on X.com. It has my subscriptions available there. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that's happened today, but I think the most important one right now is probably going to be this stupidity that they've done with the Epstein stuff yet again. So yesterday, for those who were not here yesterday, the initial Epstein drop happened, which was hilarious because they just redacted a name, which happened to be Virginia Giuffre, which meant that, it was, the one victim that literally said Trump didn't do anything. That's the one that they decided to put an email out about. But then they said, well, it was redacted when we got it. We didn't know. Like, no one believes you people. You're such liars. It's just so blatantly and obviously lies. So today, now they've decided to go even further with it. So they've decided now that the next level of this is they claimed that President Trump had Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017. They put this thing out. Okay, so they put this out earlier today, and they knew it was so false that they actually deleted it. So I actually took a screenshot of it, and I'll put it up here on the screen so people can see what the actual post was. So this is the documents from the Democrats. This is claiming that he had Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017. At any time, he was already after Epstein was a convicted sex offender. Now, how many people do you think Trump has at Thanksgiving? Like, just out of curiosity. Trump's got a big family. My guess is that Trump, every time he has a Thanksgiving dinner of any kind, he's probably got 50 to 100 people there. That's if I had to guess. He probably does massive events unless he's doing it with a small family unit. And no one else has photos of Jeffrey Epstein at this 27. This is after all that stuff had happened. That would have been photos everywhere. There would have been 100 photos of it. But of course there isn't. There's just this stupid email. And they were like, where are you having Thanksgiving is the only line that they have there. It's like, this is so obviously stupidly fake. But yet again, just another move from the Democrats. But this one was so bad they actually deleted it. So this is the kind of stuff that we should be calling out. And we should be reminding people that when Trump said that the Epstein files were a hoax, he wasn't referring to Epstein himself and what Epstein did. He was referring to the hoax of the Democrats trying to pin it on him. It's very obvious what they're doing, okay? They're out here trying to claim that Trump is somehow involved in this whole ordeal, even though everybody knows that they would have released stuff if they had it back when Biden was in office, when the DOJ was prosecuting him across the entire world. They would have already done it. But now they're trying to shoehorn it in, and the right is letting it happen. It's so stupid. Like, I mean, just this is so amazing to me. This right here should be the top story that everybody should see, that they're deleting things, that they're lying, that Jen Psaki's out here trying to make statements and she can't do it. I don't understand why people can't grasp that when Trump says this was a hoax, the hoax is trying to pin it on him. That's very clear. Okay, and everyone should be able to see that. And I don't know why we haven't been able to see it yet. Because, you look at some of the things that these people are saying, you know that they're lying. They know that they're lying. I mean, Jen Psaki out here, I think this is probably the first clip I'm going to play. This is Jen Psaki earlier today when she just had to completely backpedal. I mean, she had to backpedal so quickly. Wait a minute, this is Jennings. Which one? Hey, Jacktron, are you up here now? No, not yet. Okay. This one, no. I can't remember. Yeah, this is it. So this is Jen Psaki here talking about the Epstein stuff. And watch how quickly she has to catch what she says, because this is what they want to do. What they want to do is they want to say Trump is somehow a pedophile or something. That's what they're desperate to do. So this is it here. This is what she has to do. Watch how quickly she has to backpedal this, because she knows she will be sued, is what the problem is. They know without question that Trump would immediately sue them into oblivion if she just got away with this. So listen to this.
In supporting what Donald Trump is doing.
You're talking about the other predators out there, in addition to Trump. I mean, I'm not saying he is. We don't know all the details about that. I just mean in addition to what we've learned about Epstein and others, there's other predators out there.
There are, and we have to remember that Alex Acosta, when he...
So did you catch it there when she was like, the other predators? Well, but I'm not saying he did anything. I got to make that really clear. He didn't actually do anything. It's so obvious and transparent what they're doing here. I mean, they're just desperate to find anything they can do to say this. But the more important aspect is actually Scott Jennings had a clip here that is talking about this, and he has the right take because this is accurate. This is the reason Trump calls it a hoax is for this right here.
Then why is the White House fighting it so much? That's my question here, because I do agree with you. It might die in the Senate. So then why is the White House fighting it like they are?
Because I think they believe that the time spent on this and that the Republicans who've bought into the Democratic tactics on this are ultimately hurting the president's agenda and hurting the overall Republican effort to change this country for the better. The president firmly believes this is nothing but a distraction tactic ginned up by Democrats who didn't care about this one bit until a couple of months ago. They didn't care about it when Joe Biden was the president. Now they care about it to try to tie up this presidency. He's lived through these things before. He's lived through these kinds of, wild goose chases before. It's all designed to tie him up. He recognizes it. He doesn't want his own party members to fall for it, but I think a few probably will.
I think some people might dispute the wild goose chase part, just given obviously the victims that are at the heart of this and the survivors.
No, regarding him, the Democratic allegation, it's thinly veiled, but the Democratic allegation is that Donald Trump did something untoward, unethical, or worse. You hear people say it on television day in and day out. They've not tried to hide the misleading of the American people, and there's not a shred of evidence that Donald Trump has done anything wrong. But that's what they want you to believe. And so if Republicans aid and abet the Democrats in this, you can see why Donald Trump would be mad about it. All I know is...
So this is the point, right? This is exactly what I'm getting at. They know, everybody knows that Trump has nothing to do with this. They know. The Democrats know. The Republicans that are getting caught up in this is like, I don't understand why they're even, that the Democrats are lying. I just think that the Republicans that are going along with this, I think the only people, the reason they're doing that is because they also hate Trump. I mean, I just think that's the only real reason. They don't like him, so they want to go along with it and do this. I mean, it's so transparent that Trump has nothing to do with this. They've pulled it out of nowhere again, and they're now lying to the point that they're deleting things, backpedaling while live on the air. I mean, why aren't we hitting them on this? Why? Like, that's what I don't understand. A few months ago, when that Wall Street Journal article came out, the right destroyed that narrative instantly. They were like, this is nonsense. No one buys this at all. We all immediately pivoted back and hit them on it, and that's what should be happening right now. But instead, we're talking about something else, which is so stupid. Like, I mean, we can't keep letting them get away with things because they will just keep doing them. You watch, the next things that are going to happen is they'll put out articles that are something like this. So essentially what Jen Psaki was saying before, he's like, well, he's not, there are other victims involved, but, Trump's not really involved. We don't say that. And they'll put that in the 18th paragraph. I mean, watch, they're going to start doing this everywhere. And, they couldn't figure out Trump was already Hitler, and that wasn't good enough. So now he's pedo Hitler. And be like, come on, people. Get in the game. I mean, you're going to let them get away with this? You're going to let them continuously run this out here, and you're going to continue to fight about things that don't matter rather than actually realize that the Democrats are still gaining ground? Like, we can't let them continue to gain ground is what my point is here. We just can't do it. We cannot do it at all. It's just not worth it. I mean, it just, like, I don't care what the arguments are. The arguments are not as important as actually getting this done. So, getting out of the way, making sure we hold the Democrats to the feet to the fire every single time we see this is what should be happening. I mean, that's just the obvious conclusion to this. Okay, Jacktron, did we get you up here finally? Nope. Doesn't look like it. Well, anyway, so at some point here, I'll have my other co-host up here. Guys, make sure you guys share this space out. And I'm going to see if I can figure out what the technical issues are here to get Jacktron up on the stage. If you guys would like to request to come up on the show, you guys can always hit the request button and come up here. I usually try and have at least an open section of the show. For most of the show, I have open commentary from some people. If you guys are on the other streams, you need to go to x.com, go to @WCDispatch, and you can join the show and chime in. And you guys have something to say, you can always put it down in the comments. I do read the comments throughout the show. You are welcome to do so, and I will respond to them as I can, as I read them, because they're all over the place, and it's difficult for me to read all of them. But, I'll do what I can here. And I'm still trying to bring Jacktron up here on stage. It is just not working continuously. Jacktron, you might have to leave the show and come back in, dude. It's just not working. I think I got it. There we go. There he is, finally. Okay, Jacktron. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is another reason that we should be focused on the left here. So today, another one of these mortgage lawsuits came out, which is, again, something that everybody should be talking about, but I've only seen a few people talking about it now. So Eric Swalwell, Chinese spy-loving Swalwell, has now been caught up in this mortgage fraud stuff as well. So there's now a criminal indictment coming out for him, so check it out this.
Breaking just moments ago, Fox can now confirm that California Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell has been criminally referred to the Department of Justice accused of mortgage fraud. Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey reporting live on this breaking news on Eric Swalwell from the North Lawn. Hey, Peter.
Martha, as I was walking up here to do a hit on a different topic, I got a call from an administration official filling us in that Eric Swalwell, the Democratic California congressman, has indeed been referred to the Justice Department by Bill Pulte, who is the head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac right now, because he is accused of making false or misleading statements on a mortgage application. We believe that this pertains to a $1.2 million house that Swalwell has in the Washington, D.C. area. Swalwell has already responded. Part of his very long statement says, as the most vocal critic of Donald Trump over the last decade and as the only person who still has a surviving lawsuit against him, the only thing I am surprised about is that it took him this long to come after me. Like James Comey and John Bolton, Adam Schiff and Lisa Cook, Letitia James, and the dozens more to come, I refuse to live in fear in what was once the freest country in the world. Now, Swalwell has not been charged with anything. This is a criminal referral.
So it's pretty obvious to me that now that this is yet again another mortgage fraud thing, that the Trump administration, where just, they can say that it's not Trump doing any of this, but I don't care if it is or not. Like, to me, these are all these are all of the people that went after Trump for everything that they possibly could. In my eyes, do more of it. I don't care. Bury them in the process. In my eyes, that's what you should do. And we need to stop playing games. And to me, like, everyone's talking about all the nonsense that, they don't like about what's going on. To me, this is the kind of stuff that I want to see more of. I want to see prosecutions. I want to see indictments. I want to see more things happen. Swalwell has got to be one of the most corrupt people in Congress by a wide margin. I mean, he has been for many, many years. And, this is the same guy that got caught sleeping with a Chinese spy, an actual Chinese spy named Fang Fang. And this guy's a member of Congress. He's still a member of Congress. He never got thrown out of Congress, even after all that happened. I mean, this guy needs to be prosecuted. They need to go after him for all sorts of stuff, and I don't care what they get him on. It doesn't matter to me. The same thing with Adam Schiff. I don't care what they get him on. Go after him. Hit all of these people. Hit all of them. Hit them all hard. Hey, make sure that they spend millions of dollars in court. That's what I want to happen, really. And I'm not the one kind of person who says we should be nice about it at all. I think you should be more difficult, more ruthless than we have been. I think we can go further than what we're doing. And to me, I think if you really want to get the base re-engaged, this is the kind of stuff that everyone should be talking about and should be focusing on, because this is the good stuff. This is what we want. We want accountability for these people. Swalwell is one of the most corrupt people I've ever seen. And I'm hoping at some point in the near future that Nick Sorter releases that audio transcript he has of him where he was sitting there talking to lobbyists, and apparently he has all sorts of stuff on him. So I hope Swalwell keeps talking, and he's one of these people that, he has been a problem for a long time, but I think that he's probably going to be on the back foot sooner or later. So looking forward to seeing that happen here.
I actually caught something about in Eric Swalwell's statement. He said many more to come. So that made me think in my mind is, does he know that there's more indictments coming?
Maybe. I hope so. I hope there's more indictments coming.
But you know what I think we should do next is that we should look into the mortgage records of every single member Democrat in Congress. But before we do those, we need to start with Norm Eisen, look and see if he has committed mortgage fraud.
Well, Norm Eisen is the problem with Norm Eisen, like if going after him, is that Norm Eisen is an attorney. So everything that he does is wrapped through like 8 layers of attorneys, because that's the way he's operated and managed to keep himself from being prosecuted in the past. So all of these Democrat, like Mark Elias, Norm Eisen, that whole network is going to be I think it should be one of the most key targets, really. That's where we should be going. I mean, we saw months ago, I should probably find that clip. I have got a clip of Norm Eisen when he was talking about the Epstein stuff, and he was just like giddy with glee that they've got him on the Epstein stuff. It's such a perfect story, is what he said. It's perfect. We've got photos. We've got this. We've got that. Like, he was just out of his, like, this guy was ecstatic, just jumping for joy that they had something that they could get Trump to be on the back foot on.
He was probably having a hard on, but and also when it comes to Swalwell, there's a couple other things you didn't mention that, remember, he also manipulated our friend Jennifer Lawrence post during the sham January 6th hearings. And he also campaigned for that guy in Minnesota who just pleaded guilty to having child porn on his phone. And let's also not forget that legendary moment where he farted on live television.
Well, I mean, look, Swalwell again. Like, there's a number of things we could go after Swalwell for that I think we should. I mean, just there needs to be something. Now, somebody who's saying here, but Bondi will screw it up. Look, if Bondi can't do it, then get somebody else in there. I don't care. I mean, to me, just keep moving forward. Just keep hitting them on everything that you possibly can. And I want to see more criminal indictments. I want to see a lot more stuff. So, if Bondi can't seem to pull the job off, then maybe it's time to move on from Bondi. I haven't been a fan of Bondi for months. I think that she's not doing a great job, to be honest with you. Bondi has, to me, the comment I've made on Bondi is that, even if she's good at being an attorney, she's terrible at PR. And when you're the Attorney General of the United States, you need to be good at PR. You just have to be. There's not really a choice there. You must be good at PR. So if you can't do it, then we need to find somebody else who can. Whether or not we manage to do that, I don't know. Trump seems to like Bondi. Maybe she's doing something that we don't know about. We'll find out. But, at the same time, at least we're starting to see more of these indictments move forward when we're actually going to start hitting these people, because I want to see a whole lot more of this. Okay, so the other thing that I thought was worth talking about today, and guys, make sure you guys share the link out. If you guys are in the space, make sure you guys share the space out. Make sure you guys people know that we are here. You can always put a comment down below. Okay, so the next, there's a clip from Vance today that I thought was pretty good. And Vance is doing a pretty good job actually addressing some of this affordability stuff, which I think is definitely worth talking about, because Vance is absolutely one of the better people to actually have this message out here. So listen to this from Vance.
I know that there are a lot of people out there, Sean, who are saying things are expensive. And we have to remember they're expensive because we inherited this terrible inflation crisis from the Biden administration. But you've already seen signs that things are getting better. The price of eggs has gone way down. The price of energy has gone way down. The price of gasoline has gone way down. And as we know, when the price of energy goes down, that starts to filter out into the entire economy. But that also takes a little bit of time. There's another component of this, Sean, which to me is maybe the most important, because I care so much about our young people being able to afford a good life. A lot of young people are saying housing is way too expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time, we weren't building enough new houses to begin with, even for the population that we had. So what we're doing is trying to make it easier to build houses, trying to make it easier to build factories and things like that so that people have good jobs. We're also getting all of those illegal aliens out of our country, and you're already seeing it start to pay some dividends.
So there's Vance on this, and this is obviously the correct message for me. Listening to what he's talking about here, like, we need to get back to the point where we're pinning what really happened in this country, the affordability crisis that somehow the Democrats managed to run on and win, which is insane to me, because exactly what Vance just said. This came from the Biden administration flooding the country with millions of illegals, millions of people that they brought in on these asylum claims, double the cost of rent in many places. That's what we should be focusing on. Those people need to get out of the country. We got a ton of funding for the ICE. We got a ton of funding for ICE in the big, beautiful bill. You know, that needs to happen, okay? We need to get more deportations up. We need to get more of that out, more of these people out. We need to end the temporary protective statuses, because if you free up houses, that will have a huge difference. There's also something else today that I saw that was floated earlier today, which I think is really good. And this came from Bill Pulte earlier. He actually said that they're looking at the idea of a portable mortgage. Now, this is probably the best idea I've seen come out of the administration so far when it comes to trying to come up with new ways to make things happen. A portable mortgage, for those people who don't know what that is, a portable mortgage, the idea is that you can take the mortgage at the rate that you got. So when the rates were super low, and you can take that and move that into a new mortgage for a new place using the same rate that you had before. Now that is the best idea I've heard so far. Out of the idea of trying to fix housing prices, because one of the problems that happened as a result of the inflation, as a result of the fact that we had super cheap interest rates. Interest rates were nothing; they were 1-2%, and then they went up to 6-7%. One of the biggest problems that caused is that everybody that got a rate, everyone that got a mortgage, they don't want to leave that mortgage because they don't want to lose that good rate that they got, so they get stuck in the place that they're living in, so they don't sell their houses. So if you make it so that the mortgages are portable and they can be interchanged from new house to new house, then suddenly there's a bunch of people that maybe they want to upgrade. Maybe they wanted to upgrade a while ago, but they couldn't because they've been stuck with their 2% interest rate and they don't want to pay 7%. Okay? So if you take that and apply that to all of the mortgages across the country, that will instantly mean that a bunch of people can go take their current mortgage, move it into a new home, and that'll open up the market and people start buying and selling houses again. I think that is a great move, and I don't think that'll have a major effect on inflating the prices of houses. I think that'll actually make it a lot more competitive. I think that's good. I think that might bring some prices down. So, I think that's the best idea I've seen so far, much better than the 50-year thing. But this is another part here, one of the things the Trump administration does really well is they float ideas and let people talk about them. And the 50-year mortgage plan that they put out, I didn't think it was a good idea. There was a bunch of people that tried to say it was a good idea. I don't think it was a good idea at all. I think it was a good idea for the people who who wanted the price of housing to go up. Yeah, I'm sure it was great for them, but people don't want the prices of housing to go up. Okay, that's not a fix. Okay, making it so people can pay a couple $100 less a month and then pay bazillions of dollars in interest forever is not a good idea. I mean, I get tired of listening to people that said that the argument was, well, people don't stay on their loans for that long. That's like, guys, listening to the people that are real estate developers or millionaires that have multiple properties, those people are not thinking about money the same way that the people that are buying their first house are thinking about it. Okay, like that's not realistic. It's not true. You got to remember the amount of people that are paying the minimum payment on their credit cards every single month. That number is drastically increased over the past 4 years because of the inflation and because of the fact that we were chewing through our savings. Those things are real. So you need to address the affordability and make it so that you don't increase the price of houses. You need people to sell their houses. You need to get more on the market. You need to get more supply. And if you actually take away make it so that you can move interest rates between houses, I think that'll increase supply. I think that'll increase supplies pretty significantly, actually. I think a bunch of people will go out and say, okay, well, I want to get rid of my starter home, but I didn't want to pay an 8% interest rate, so I'll sell my house now and keep my low interest rate, move into a bigger house. That opens up the lower market for cheaper houses. I think that's a great thing, especially for people looking to buy their new houses. I think that's great. So good idea from the Trump administration. I hope they move forward on that quickly because I think that's the best one I've seen so far out of them. Okay. Let's see here. So the other thing, obviously, the shutdown has finally ended. I mean, we don't really need to talk about that a whole lot more. I mean, we could play that. We do have a clip from Trump talking about the shutdown ending. We can play that real quick. But I mean, obviously, we all know that the shutdown was ending. It was finally coming to an end. The Democrats didn't get anything they wanted. But we can play this real quick just so people know and hear what Trump had to say on this earlier. If I can get it to play.
The past 43 days, Democrats in Congress shut down the government of the United States in an attempt to extort American taxpayers for hundreds of billions of dollars for illegal aliens and people that came into our country illegally from gangs, from prisons, from mental institutions. They wanted to pay them $1.5 trillion, which would have really hurt our healthcare businesses and our recipients at levels never seen before. Today, we're sending a clear message that we will never give in to extortion, because that's what it was. They tried to extort, the Democrats tried to extort our country. In just a moment, I'll sign a bill exactly like we asked Democrats to send us all along, many days ago. This cost the country $1.5 trillion, this little excursion that they took us on. Republicans never wanted a shutdown and voted 15 times for a clean continuation of funding. There's never been a time when one or the other party ever didn't sign a continuation. It's just a continuation, not a big deal. It's a continuation and we'll talk later. Yet the extremists in the other party insisted on creating the longest government shutdown in American history, and they did it purely for political reasons.
So there you go. There's Trump talking about it. Obviously, this is the same message that has been telegraphed the past couple of days, that, you know, the Democrats are the only reason that they shut everything down in the first place. So now that we've actually got this passed, I'm glad that we finally have the government reopened again. Now, the number that he talked about, the amount of money that it cost the country, I don't know where he got the number from, but I'm not surprised if that's true. I mean, the Democrats only did this so they could try and win in Virginia. That's the only real reason they had anything closed. So we'll see, now that we've got the government reopened, I'm hoping we get things back in line and we start moving again. I don't want to hear people screaming and saying that it's all over or something. We're a political lifetime away from the midterms, people. So I think we can recover and we can actually make a difference here. Now, I've got somebody come up on stage here. Lazaria, what's up?
Hi, thanks for bringing me up. I'm just wondering, first of all, we need to get rid of Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those two I just wish they'd either go to the left or fall off the planet. They need to be dressed down. Our problem is we got Speaker Johnson. He's amazing. I love him. He loves Trump. But he is not going to dress someone down like Hakeem Jeffries is. Someone needs to tell them to shut up.
Well, and that's actually worth mentioning, because Marjorie Taylor Greene today, in her most recent pandering episode, has released a new bill that she wants to try and see if she can end H-1B visas, which will never pass, and it wouldn't work. But she wants to pander with it, so she came out with that earlier today, and I actually have the clip of that. So I'll go ahead and play that real quick so people can hear what I'm talking about. Because, yeah, I agree with you. I think that she's a problem. I think she's been a problem for a while. She just recently decided to start going out there and using she has a very large platform. She's got a whole bunch of followers. She's already been, she's one of these people that's been viral many, many times. So this is what she had to say earlier today.
My dear fellow Americans, I'm introducing a bill to completely eliminate the H-1B visa program, which has been riddled with fraud and abuse and has been displacing American workers for decades. There will only be one exemption in my bill, and it will allow for a $10,000 per year cap on visas issued to medical professionals like doctors and nurses who provide life-saving care to Americans. However, even this $10,000 per year cap will be phased out over 10 years to allow us time to build our own pipeline of American doctors and physicians. My bill will also restore the original intent of the visa, for it to be temporary. These visas were intended to fulfill a specialty occupational need at a given time. People should not be allowed to come and live here forever. We thank them for their expertise, but we also wish them well so they may return to their home country. My bill will take away the pathway to citizenship, forcing visa holders to return home when their visa expires. In order to build our pipeline of American doctors and medical professionals, my bill will also prohibit Medicare-funded residency programs from admitting non-citizen medical students into their programs. Just last year alone, there were over 9,000 doctors in the U.S. who graduated from medical school but were left without a residency placement. Meanwhile, in 2023 alone, there were over 5,000 foreign-born doctors who received residency spots. This is entirely unfair, and it's America last. My bill will help mitigate the shortage of doctors and nurses in our country, the shortage that we face, while at the same time serve as an off-ramp from our reliance on foreign workers by allowing us time to fill our residency programs with American doctors. Now, this will completely end the H-1B visa program in all other sectors in the job force and in the workforce. This is America first. It's time to put American citizens first instead of foreigners first. And this has gone on, and this has been an abuse for far too long. Americans deserve a future, they deserve a chance, and I believe Americans are the most talented people in the world, the most creative, and I want them to have their American dream.
So obviously this is playing off of the backlash to what Trump said the other day about H-1Bs. Now, her idea here of getting rid of the H-1B program, as far as I think it would ever make it through Congress, it won't. But at the same time, she doesn't care about that. She's just going to use it as a leverage point for her. She's going to gain her popularity, trying to get some of the base to follow her on this. Yeah, it'll work for that. That's all that it'll accomplish, though. It's not going to go anywhere. As much as I agree with the idea that we need to end visa programs, and I'm one of the most ardent proponents of saying we need to fix all of the visa programs. They're disastrous. They're terrible. There's been riddled with fraud for a long, long time. The H-1B program is a complete and total disaster. But there's other ways you can go about that, and that would be, how about you just take the visas from all of the people that Biden gave visas to? Like, how about we just do that? Like, just get rid of all of the old ones and make sure that it's from here forward, it is that huge $100,000 bill that you have to pay if you want to bring these people in. If you really need them, like if these tech sectors, these tech positions, if they desperately need these positions to be filled, they can't fill them any other way, okay, then you don't have a problem giving in $100,000 additional, okay? Like that shouldn't be an issue. And the idea that there's a physician shortage and that'll be a huge problem if we don't have physicians in from other countries. I've heard this before, and I'm not really sure where they get this from, but where I think it comes from is the idea that the medical industry has been growing rapidly at a huge clip, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. But I'd like to know and see what the actual numbers on doctors specifically, not just the healthcare industry itself, needs in terms of staffing. I'd like to see the actual detailed numbers on this. This is just a talking point I've seen. I've never actually seen real proof that it's directly related to we don't have enough doctors and physicians. I'm not sure how accurate that is or not. But regardless, she's going to use it as her means to hit the president on this, because obviously just last week, I mean, or whatever it was just a couple days ago in Ingram angle, when Trump said that there wasn't enough Americans to fill these positions and you can't do it. Now, the unfortunate part is that Trump is actually right about some of this stuff that he says. And Besant actually was on earlier today and explaining some of this stuff, because this is a true thing about one of the problems we've created as a result of all of our reliance on foreign labor and having all these people come in here, is we actually don't have people to fix some of the stuff and actually do the jobs that we need, because we haven't had them in so long, because we stupidly sent all of our manufacturing to other countries. So he is sort of right here, but I don't like about what he says in this clip. He goes on to say, well, after you fix the problem and you've trained American workers, then they'll all go home. I don't know. You better have true, to me, that doesn't sound great, okay? I don't know what we need to do. So here's the other problem. I'll just play this first, and then I want to talk about this for a second here.
Families. So yesterday, Laura Ingraham aired her interview from a couple of days ago, and they kind of clashed a little on H-1B visas, which you upped the fee to $100,000. I want you to watch this and tell me what you think.
Does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles.
Where do you stand, Mr. Secretary?
Brian, for years, 20, 30 years, we have offshored precision manufacturing jobs. And the president's point here is, we can't snap our fingers and say, you're going to learn how to build ships overnight. We want to bring semiconductor industry back to the U.S. There are going to be big facilities in Arizona. So I think the president's vision here is to bring in overseas workers where these jobs went.
Who have skills.
Who have the skills, 3, 5, 7 years to train the U.S. workers. Then they can go home. The U.S. workers fully take over.
So do you understand the concern that people have? Hey, an American can have that job. Why you give it to a guy from India
But an American can't have that job.
So it's specific skills.
Because we haven't built ships in the U.S. for years. We haven't built semiconductors. So this idea of overseas partners coming in, teaching American workers, then returning home, that's a home run.
Gotcha. Mr. Secretary.
So now Bessent is a little bit better at trying to explain why it's important, because we haven't had this stuff here in a long time. And this is true. I mean, this is true because we've shipped all of our manufacturing out. But what I disagree on is the idea that you can't just snap your fingers and train people, or that you can't figure out a way to train American workers. I disagree with that entirely. Okay? I disagree with that entirely, because if you go look what happens when the United States goes into war footing, when we've done that in the past, do people know how to build tanks? Like during World War II, did everyone know how to build B-1 bombers? Is that something everyone was aware of how to do? Like there was a point where at some point during World War II, we were producing like a bomber a day. There was more than one bomber a day being built in the United States all at once, and it was just a full machine up and running. Now, granted, back then we actually had a lot more manufacturing infrastructure already built, but I think that's an infrastructure problem, not a people problem. Okay, like the young people that were working in those factories, not all of those people probably knew how to build all that stuff. Okay, I'm not sure I agree on the idea that you can't train a whole new factory and a whole new group of workers. If you guys haven't been to a modern manufacturing system in the United States, like a modern car plant or something like that, I promise you, they can bring people off the street and they can train them up and get them up and rolling. All you need is a few experienced people. You don't need tens of thousands of people to come in and train people. You need a good team of management to be able to do that. And I think that if you go approach some of these car manufacturers or something like that and say, hey, we'll give you this, and how about you train workers to build this? And if you can help us build this, then we'll give you tax subsidies or something. I mean, I think there's other ways to solve this problem. I think there is. Now, the semiconductor issue is a bit different, mostly because the semiconductors have been built in Taiwan for so long. I don't think that's ever been a real major thing that we have in the United States. Now, that might take actual training, but I don't know what you need necessarily. The idea that you can't still create a manufacturing line with training American workers, I still disagree there. I mean, I think the idea that we need to bring in massive amounts of foreign workers to be able to solve these problems, I just disagree with entirely. I don't think you need to. I think what we should do is we should bring in, management teams of some kind that are really good at manufacturing and have them train whole slews of American workers and do that. That should happen. I mean, I think that's something we do now. I mean, there's no reason not to do it now. I think that's something that is a problem for the Trump administration, sitting here saying, "Well, we don't have the people that can build these stuff." Guys, we weren't just building battleships all of the time, and everybody knew how to do that but when we go into these big war times that we've had in the past. Okay, if you mobilize the country properly, I think it can be done. Okay, I think it can be done. And the other side of this is, if you brought back manufacturing in the Midwest, okay, in the Midwest where you killed all of the manufacturing, where there is no manufacturing, I think you're going to be surprised how quickly you can find people that are good at manufacturing, okay? I think that's the other side of this that I really don't like hearing out of the administration. Oh, we can't do it. The only reason there aren't a lot of people that are good at precision manufacturing is because you shipped their jobs away for 30 years. That's the only reason why. It's not like they don't know how to do it. It's not like they're good and not good at it. I'm pretty sure they can figure it out. Give them the opportunity to try. I think that should be a better message. And I think that's what they should do. Okay, so stop saying that you need to give a bunch of foreign workers jobs. I don't think so. I think what you should do is you should set up manufacturing places, invest, and then give them management teams that are competent and then train the people. Okay? I think if you give Americans the opportunity, you will be surprised that they are able to figure this out and do this pretty quickly. Because we had manufacturing once. We had a massive manufacturing base in this country for many, many years. And I know for a fact out here in the Midwest, if you just dropped a bunch of new factories in here, here's the other problem. Listening to this nonsense about, there's no way we could do this. When Trump's first term, one of the things that happened, and I saw it happen, especially out here in my town, in my area, a bunch of new factories started being built. I saw them going up. They were being built. There were new jobs coming in. They were good jobs. The job market was started getting tight because there was so many places hiring that they didn't know what to do with it. And then what happened? Joe Biden came in. And what did Joe Biden do? Joe Biden flooded the area with Haitians in my city. And this is just my area. This is to give you an example of this, okay? So all of those factories that then got built, the Americans in those areas didn't get to benefit from them because you staffed them with other people. You staffed them with foreign workers. And I'll tell you right now, that made people more angry than anything else. That made people more angry than anything I've ever seen because all of the opportunity that could have been there was given to somebody else. And that's what I think they're missing on this H-1B concept is that if you bring in manufacturing and you don't staff it up and you don't give Americans the opportunity to go make more money, the opportunity to go work in these factories, you are going to see a backlash that is just like what happened in the Biden administration, except this time at least you're telling them about it, which means they're just going to be even more mad about it as it's happening. Okay? So you can't do it. Okay? You have to bring it in and you have to make sure it's for American workers. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill that she's got coming forward here, that's just pandering to me. I mean, I don't think that's got any chance or any legs to make it through the House. To me, that's pandering. But the deal is that this messaging needs to be addressed. And it's worth, you're not criticizing Trump on this is not a problem, okay? Making sure that they're aware that, listen, give Americans the opportunity before you sit there and say, no, we have to bring in other people. It's not a problem that you criticize the administration on that. That's fine. But that doesn't mean that you then immediately go the opposite direction, like I was talking about at the open of the show tonight, that you go to the opposite direction and say, well, what we'll do? We'll just give it to the Democrats. The Democrats will open the border again. What are you talking about? You think they're going to solve anything for you? They're going to make it way worse. They'll make sure that every job is given to an illegal immigrant, okay? That's what they want. They will reopen the border. They'll reopen everything. They'll start the floodgates all open again. It will not be any better at all, okay? So let's not do that. Let's address the Trump administration properly, make sure that they're aware of what's going on, and that you need to give the opportunity to Americans and move forward. I think that's a much better message. And regardless, even if they seem to not take the hint that they need to get this done properly, at least they still have that $100,000 bonus there. So then they're going to be those companies to be a lot more frugal about who they're giving those to. It okay, so every one of those H-1Bs, remember they have to pay $100,000 to be able to do that. So let's keep that in mind as we're going through this. Okay, guys, if you want to come up and join the show, if you got commentary on any of this here, you're welcome to do so. You can request on the X space if you'd like to come up here. You can say whatever you want, or you can ask questions. Jacktron, you have your hand up. You go ahead.
Yeah, so this is just coming out from Bondi. She says that Harmy Dillon is on the ground in California at UC Berkeley just to investigate what's been going on over there. And also Rob Schneider, who was, I think, the headliner at the event, has announced that he's suing UC Berkeley as well. Good.
There needs to be consequences. Okay. I put a post out yesterday talking about this. I was swatted. I don't know if you guys, those who've listened to the show for a while know this, but back in March, I was swatted in my home and dragged out of my house at gunpoint by a SWAT team because somebody didn't like what I had to say on the internet. And I never got an update at all. I never got an update from the FBI. Nothing ever happened. As far as I'm aware, nothing has moved on that case whatsoever. I never even got a phone call. Okay. I have no idea what happened. They don't care. They don't seem to care to me. And that drives me nuts because it seems to me that the left-wing lunatics, that the same sort of people that killed Charlie Kirk, they don't ever feel that they have consequences that come to them. And that drives me nuts. Okay, so there needs to be some sort of consequences. They need to start prosecuting people. And if they can't prosecute these people because the judges themselves aren't going to do it, then prosecute the college. Okay, then go after the college. make somebody feel pain for what they're causing and letting this stuff go forward. Because I promise you, if you start taking away federal funding and you start suing these colleges and taking them to court and making them defend themselves and spend millions of dollars on legal fees, that will make a big difference, because then they'll start to police themselves because they won't have to spend that money. Okay? Like, you apply pressure everywhere. That's how it should be done. And UC Berkeley is an easy target. That's a state school. I guarantee you they get a lot of federal funding. How much money can you take from them? That's what I would say. Go after them.
Yeah. And also, did you see that the FBI now has this their own rapid response account?
I did see that earlier today. So that's a new thing. The Rapid Response FBI. I saw that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I saw that they were going after Miranda Devine a couple of minutes ago, and then earlier they went after Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, well, the thing on Tucker Carlson was pretty interesting because, there's an obvious attempt here to, go after the FBI. And I'm critical of the FBI all the time, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the organization, but I have my own problems with the FBI that predate all of this. They predates everything to do with what they did to President Trump and what they did to all the January 6 people. I've got problems with the FBI. Now, at the same time, Dan Bongino is somebody that I trust more than anybody else. I do not believe that Dan Bongino walked away from millions of dollars in a very successful podcast to go work for the FBI as the deputy director, where he's going to be under the scrutiny of every single person that was once his friend. I think you need to give him some leniency. Kash Patel, I have a lot of problems with recently, mostly because of his insane misstep with this. His girlfriend or whoever the hell she is suing people for things they're tweeting online. Sorry, there's no way to spin that properly. That just looks stupid. Okay, that's a terrible PR message. You've got the FBI, one of the most corrupt, powerful institutions of all time, that we just spent years degrading their public presence to the point that everybody hates them, and then you're going to sue people for them talking about your girlfriend. Guys, no. Okay, what are you doing?
Yeah, he needs to sing Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, well, that was a great clip from Chase. That was so funny. I love that clip. But the deal is, he's right in that it's a very, very corrupt institution. It's already been under increased scrutiny for years, and then to do this now is a stupid mistake. It's a stupid mistake, and it shouldn't be done. There's no reason that you should be doing that. You shouldn't be prosecuting people or trying to go after people civilly for $5 million for saying something on Twitter. Grow a thicker skin if you're going to be the FBI director or the FBI director's girlfriend. Just come on. You can't do this kind of stuff. Not right now. Not the right message. Not the right idea. And it's going to just erode faith in the FBI even further than it already is. People don't like the FBI. Okay. And I've said many times that I would like us to go back to the point where I'm the one that is the only one that really hates the FBI, that actually has a animus towards them. And most people used to like the institution. Let's go back to that, because if you don't have some sort of trust in our federal law enforcement, it's not necessarily a good thing for the country. Now, they are doing good things. I mean, they're doing a lot of drug busts. They're doing good stuff. There is good things happening, but there is no reason at all to try and make anything worse. I mean, I know it's difficult, the job that they're doing, and I know that it's difficult to have people sitting out there talking about you, your family, your girlfriend, anybody, but suing people because they retweeted stuff is stupid. Okay, it's just stupid. You shouldn't do it, and all it's going to end with is more mockery and more problems and more erosion in trust. So hopefully they walk that back because they need to. They need to walk that back immediately. And they need to find out some other message or something else to do. That's the only message there. They have to, because it's a stupid decision on their part.
Well, I mean, they kind of walked themselves into a hole now, because now if they drop the lawsuit, that's only going to make the people that were going after them even more, I guess, convinced that they were right.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, but no, I disagree. At this point, you need to walk it back, not just because they're right, but just because it's a bad PR thing anyway. Just drop the friggin' lawsuit and stop, because you just need to walk away from it and just you already made the mistake. Don't make it worse by continuing into a messy lawsuit with a bunch of people who have a loud following online. Okay, it's not going to work out well for them. It isn't, and there's no reason to do it. There's no reason to go forward with it. Now, of course, the other problem is that it's possible that Kash Patel's girlfriend's just pissed and she doesn't care and she's going to sue him anyway. If Kash can't tell her to stop suing him, there's nothing he can do about that. So, But at the same time, I have this inclination that that's not really what's going on here. There's been some reporting that the law firm that's engaged in this is connected to cash. So I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't look good regardless. It's not something we need right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right there. But I mean, the law firm thing, I don't know if that's necessarily indicative of Cash himself being involved. I mean, maybe he just referred to her, because these are lawyers that he knows. But I could be wrong, though.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? But the problem is, no matter how it is, if he referred lawyers for his girlfriend and she took the lawyers that he referred, that again looks bad. Like it just looks bad, okay? Like it just looks bad. It doesn't matter how you spin it. There is no spin to make it look good, is what my point is, which is why they should have never done it in the first place. Should have never done it in the first place. It looks bad. It's a stupid decision. That's not gonna go over well. Raymond Smith here, you got a good comment here. They could win with some points with the J6 pipe bomb thing. Yeah, listen, the FBI has an opportunity to fix a lot of stuff. They do. They absolutely have an opportunity to fix a lot of stuff. If they start going after and prosecuting people, if they actually manage to close some of these cases that should have been solved and everybody knows they should have been solved a long time ago, yeah, they can fix a lot of this stuff. They have an opportunity to fix it. It's just, this sort of stuff where you bring out a lawsuit for $5 million against people online that are talking about your girlfriend, not good. Not good, doesn't look good, doesn't smell good, doesn't sound good. People are not going to take it, okay? Lazaria, you got something to say? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that he needs to stay away from that with a 10-foot pole. There's already so much stuff going on. And I was watching the video with the gentleman who is being accused of it. I've forgotten his name at this moment, but he said he didn't even say it.
Elijah Schaefer and Sam Parker are the ones that she's suing.
Well, there's also an identical lawsuit against Kyle Seraphin. So, it's the same problem.
You should, as the director of the FBI, you should not be referring your girlfriend to any lawyers. There's everyone else in the entire world that can recommend a lawyer to her, and not your boyfriend, the director of the FBI. Immediately, that just looks shady.
It's not just that. It's also the public relations part of this is what you need to pay attention to. Like, guys, it doesn't matter if you don't like it, Cash. It doesn't matter if you're upset about what they're saying, okay? Like, you're a public figure now. Like, it doesn't matter. You just because somebody said something that upset your girlfriend, just because your girlfriend's upset, you should have been like, look, sorry, it sucks. They're going to talk about us endlessly, because they are. Okay, like, it's not going to go away. All you did, by the way, the moment that they did that, all that happened was then a bunch more people piled onto the mess because you made it worse. Okay, like it doesn't make it better by suing people. It's just it's the exact same thing as the French whatever her name is, Bridget, right? So Marcon's wife. Candace Owens has a whole podcast series talking about how she's a man, and then they sue him. They sue, and now a podcaster in America is being sued by the president of France. Like, how did you make that such a stupid PR move? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you insane? Like that was an instant win for Candace Owens the moment that happens. Like it doesn't matter if she's right or not. Okay, it doesn't matter. You're never gonna win that lawsuit. Okay, there's no way you'll win it. You'd have to prove in America. You have to prove, especially if you're a public figure, you have to prove intent and malice, actual malice, and that is a state of mind. Okay, like, you're never gonna prove it. Okay, like, you'd have to prove the state of mind of Candace Owens was that she did this only to harm them. Like, you're never going to prove it in court, okay? It's not going to win. Okay, it's stupid stuff, not something you should do. And like it or not, whatever her name is, Alexis, is a public figure now, okay? You're a public figure now. You're married. You're dating the FBI director. You're a public figure. You're going to lose this lawsuit, and all you're going to do is piss people off and make them hate the FBI anymore, which is not a good thing right now, okay? Like, we're trying to fix that problem. This is counterproductive. Counterproductive, people. My goodness. Okay, we've got somebody wanting to come up here. Approve. Guys, if you would like to join the show, you can join by going to x.com and going to @WCDispatch, and you can join the space. It is an X space, so you can come up here and you can ask questions or you can make comments. Whatever you'd like to do, just come up here and join the show. And you can come up and have something to say, or you can make a comment below, and I do read the comments down there, and I do always read all of the comments through all the different streams. Thank you guys for being here this evening. Make sure you guys share this link out, share the space out. And what is up? I don't know how to say your name because it has way too many symbols in it. So what's up, dude?
Just wanted to talk about the infighting and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty important.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's important. I think that we need to keep on yoinking rugs and running this piece of shit country into the ground. We got these pedos in office that refuse to step down. Nobody wants to come clean with the FBI, follow the laws. It's all just generic. Everybody running for the midterms are talking about some fake echo chamber stuff they heard from the lamestream media, about Russia and China. There's nothing genuine about any of these motherfuckers, bro. You guys have got to be willing to die for this stuff because they're going to stage world war. There's probably not going to be another election. Trump was set up just to bring down the whole Titanic, man. To be honest with you, that was his job. And we didn't go to war with Iran for the Jews. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to have some type of retaliatory measures from Russia and South America or whatever. It doesn't even matter, man. So I don't want to black pill, but what I'm trying to say is too little, too late. Everybody's seeing the smoke and mirrors, for what it is, which is good. At least everybody sees the truth finally. But you got these people who just are sold on the MAGA train on one side, and then you got the shit lives on the other side, and they will never admit they were fooled about anything or change their stance or any of that, especially on social media. So it's like, we might as well just burn it down, man. Like, we are at a crossroads. The dollar's collapsing. We're probably going to be in FEMA camps. They're going to stage some EMP event anyway, or another body weapon.
Well, this is actually something I brought up at the open of the show. So this is the demoralized behavior that I disagree with entirely. Okay, this is like the idea that we need to give up, that the world's over. Oh my God, they're going to usher in, world government and the world is ending and we're all going to die and everything's over and everyone needs to give up. No. Okay. It's never over. Ever. It's never over. And thinking like that is not helpful to you. It's not helpful to anybody. It doesn't do anything good for you to sit there and think that we're actually going to end up in some gigantic war and that we're all going to die, that all the people that are in charge are pedophiles. None of that does anything good for you. Okay. None of that does anything good for you at all. That is not the way to think about it. Okay, like you have to think about it as, okay, things aren't going well right now. What do we do to fix it? What do we do to make the next step forward? Doesn't matter what it is. You never give up, man. Never give up, because if you're giving up and surrendering on it is a problem.
Look, dude, it's too little. It's too late. You might as well call a spade a spade. We're not going to make it. And I don't mean that in a defeatist attitude.
Yes, that is a defeatist attitude, though. That's the problem.
Well, it isn't, because guess what? The whole establishment is going to kill itself, and I'm going to point and laugh. So that's just what it is. That's where we are right now, and that's all they got left.
But look,
they're not going to be
but you're calling a spade, and you're thinking that we're all over. Like, why? What makes you think that it's all over? Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, so did you vote for Trump?
No.
Okay, you didn't vote for Trump. Okay, so you already think that it's all over. When did you think it was all over the first time? How long has it been all over for you?
It's been over since he was installed.
Since he was installed?
Pretty much.
When was he installed?
He's not a politician.
When was he installed?
He was picked and he was nominated. He was picked to run for president. It wasn't just some Joe Schmo genuine movement. They chose him for a reason, to keep us preoccupied for 6 or 8 more years.
Okay. So listen, dude. I understand what you're going after here, and but I am sorry, dude. If you think that this is not some actual movement to try and take our country back, then you just haven't been paying very much attention. Okay, if you thought that that Trump was installed. Trump was installed, and then they threw him out of office with a fake election, and then they tried to ruin his life, his business. Every single person that they've ever met was prosecuted that was near him. Every single person that was near him was prosecuted. They did all of that. They tried to kill him. You think that that was all fake? Every aspect of it was fake. All of it was all staged. It was all fake. Every single aspect from the very beginning. Buddy, you need to wake up, okay? Your country's only being fixed by people that are out here fighting for it, I promise you, okay? The people that never gave up, the people that continue to move forward, the people that tried to actually get things done, that rallied to actually get Trump back into office, that's what happened, Okay, and if you don't like it and you think that the world is ending, you've been thinking the world's been ending for years, but it ain't ended yet, buddy. It's not over. Okay, the world's not over. You need to wake back up. You need to realize that you can get back engaged, and sitting and checking out does nothing for you. Okay, and thinking that, oh my God, the establishment's going to come crashing down all because we're just going to let it happen and the establishment's going to kill itself. Look, like, how long will you think that'll take? How do you think your life can be worse? Because I promise you, if you let these people that are these lunatics, if you let them get back in charge, life will get significantly worse. It'll get significantly worse. And I thought everybody should have realized that when we let Biden be in charge for 4 years. Everybody's life got a lot worse underneath Biden. Okay, everyone's life got a lot worse underneath Biden when they stole the election in 2020. Okay, so like, let's not pretend as if the world is ending today. We've had a couple missteps with Trump's new administration here so far, but everything else is actually in the positive direction. We've got more people engaged civically than we've had in many, many, many years. Okay, that is one of the greatest things that Trump has done, is getting people back engaged. What you should be doing is trying to think about what you can do to fix things, because at the end of the day, it's all about personal responsibility. So if you're not going to vote and you're not going to be part of it, then that's your problem, dude. Like, I'm not going to give up, and there's nothing you can ever say to me make me give up on my country and think that it's just going to stop, that we're going to give up, that I need to stop and drop on the ground and say, well, it's all over anyway. The global elites have too much power. I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, I can't do it, man. If you want to give up on everything and you want to think that the world is ending, that's on you, but I'm not going to do it, and I'm never going to happen. Never going to happen. Never going to stop happening. It's not going to work for me. So thanks for coming up here. Guys, if you would like to come up and join the show, you are welcome to do so. If you have comments, anything you'd like to do, you want to come up here and argue with me, I'm happy to argue with you. You're happy to come up here. But if you want to tell me the world is ending and that everyone's going to die and that everything was fake and that Trump was installed by a global superpower and then they tried to kill him because, well, I don't know. Like, I don't have time for that. So anyway, so we brought another person up here. What is up, man? Maybe it's loading. We'll see here.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, Walter. Thank you. Just a quick question. Do you believe? I'm interested in the ideological direction of the Democrats, the way they're going.
Okay.
Do you believe they will have to moderate ideologically, or they will go more far left? And whatever is considered moderate, I'm from Canada, whatever is considered moderate in the U.S., has that gone right? Or is there still a package there that wants to be Democrat but can't make itself go Republican?
Well, that's actually a complicated question, mostly because I don't know what's going to end up happening here. The reality is that right now, the Democrats are being completely overtaken by the progressives in their party. Now, the progressives are lunatics, and unfortunately, their policies are all crazy. But the problem is that the right is also having an issue with their own radicals, okay? So the right has a new wave of radicals that's happening right now, okay? And the radicals on the right, and this is something that the left isn't paying any attention to. They're whistling past it as if it's not something that's happening, but it is happening, okay? So there are radicals on the right, and I promise you, if we get to a point where both sides polarize into just the radicals, one side's going to win, and because one side is way, way, way more ruthless than the other, that's the only way that'll happen. So we better hope that people moderate, is what I'm saying. And here's what people don't seem to understand, is that Trump is the moderate option for the right. That's what a lot of people miss. Trump is the moderate option, okay? If you manage to, if say they hamstring Trump and then nothing gets done, and then the lunatic progressives get in charge, the lunatic progressives get in charge and they run back all of the crazy woke stuff that they did before. If they do that, the next person that rises on the right, whoever it is, we may not even know who they are yet, that person will be far more radical than Trump ever was, and you will not want to see it if you're on the left, because whoever it is next, they won't play games. They will be way worse, and it doesn't matter when it'll happen. It'll happen at some point. It'll happen at some point. If you don't believe it, you need to go look and see what's happening on the fringes of the right. Go look and see what's happening in the massive growth of the Groyper movement. If you think that there's not a radical right-wing version of this that is far dangerous than anything Trump's ever done, then you're not paying any attention. To me, I don't know what direction the country is going to go. We're in a unique moment. And this is probably the first time in 100 years where we've been in this kind of political moment, where there's a possibility of the country going one of two directions, and what direction it is very difficult to tell. I hope that things kind of pull back, that people start to moderate, that the Democrats actually grow some spine and throw the radicals out of their party. But it doesn't seem to me that that's what they're doing. Okay, it seems to me that they're going further into the radicalism. So I don't know. It's a big problem. It's something people aren't really paying attention to, because if the sides get to the point of who can be more authoritarian and who can be more ruthless, that's where we were in the early 20th century with a lot of other countries when there was large authoritarian movements that rose. Okay, so like everyone, if you don't believe that this stuff has not happened before, you're wrong and you don't know your history very well. Authoritarian movements, when they grow slowly and then all at once. So, it's something that everyone needs to pay a lot of attention to, because we're not the first great democracy in the world that has ruled most of the world, okay? This has happened before. Go look and see what happens when the republic falls and the next leader rises. It is not a pretty time during that time period. Now, the positive part about this is that it's still kind of cool. I mean, no matter what happens, it'll be interesting to see. And my guess is this all plays out over the next 50 years. So we'll have a front row seat.
I wonder with this unique polarization that we're seeing, is it something that we consider to be cyclical, or it's unique to social media in terms of the way now everybody can have a voice, and it's definitely more polarized in internet life than it appears to be in real life, but internet life completely affects real life. So I like that question of where has this polarization come from? Is it unique to us in North America? Because we're having many of the same problems, worse, obviously, in Canada, but you guys are still having some of the problems we're having. So I wonder if it's an internet thing, a social media construct, sort of.
Listen, so part of it is, but I promise you that one of the biggest problems is that people believing that it's only from social media, okay? Because it's not only from social media. I live out here in the Midwest, and I promise you one of the biggest things that people don't talk about is how angry the people are that live out here, okay? When you took 10,000 factories out of the Midwest, people are pissed, okay? You took whole towns out. Whole towns and communities of people lost their jobs, you shipped them overseas, and people are pissed, okay? Like, if you think that it's only social media that's driving it now, the fringe aspect of it, like what you see bubbling at the surface of it, that's coming from somewhere else. That's coming from somewhere else. Why do you think young men are so pissed off? It's because the young men have had all of their opportunity taken from them, and then they were told that they are the problem. Okay, like that is a huge issue. And it's what's growing the radicalism on the right, at least. That's what's growing the radicalism, is that you told young men for a generation that they are sick, evil, terrible people, that they're all the world's problem. And then, by the way, we also took all of your opportunity, because most young men in the Midwest, especially in these areas where all the manufacturing was, that's where their opportunity was. So you took that from them and then told them they were the problem. And then when they started noticing it, you told them to shut up because they're racist. Okay, that's what's grown the problem out of epic proportions. Okay, like in the censorship and the social media aspect of it only inflamed it and made it even bigger. So it's not just a social media thing. The progressivism is unpopular. The progressivism that the left is pushing is incredibly unpopular. But it's, again, not just a social media thing. This is something that exists in people's communities, and people woke up to it all at once when they started saying men can go into the women's bathroom. Okay, I mean, like it will just snap people out of it, saying, "What are you telling us we can do?" Okay, like it is a social problem that is not just out of social media, because this is something that has grown essentially for the past 50 years. So it's not something that's new. It's just being fanned, and the flames are growing more and more and more because social media is allowing people to start to see it, even though it already existed for quite some time.
Yes, and I didn't mean to imply that it was only social media. I guess what I was trying to say was, when people say, you know what, just ignore online and it'll go away. And it's, to me, what I'm saying is, no, it won't. What's happening online and the mindset it can create affects bills, affects policy, affects things that are happening in real life. So you have to attack it. You have to go at it. You have to do these changes that you're talking about and being active and,
Yeah, I mean, it does. Listen, online still matters, obviously. I mean, it eventually, online is the surface level, because the reason that it's the surface level of it is because the people that are online a lot, the people that are online being activists and talking about things on the like those are the most engaged people. So that's always the top of the argument. That's the very peak of the argument. But the downstream is what you should pay a lot more attention to, because the downstream is the people out in their everyday lives that aren't paying attention to this, but they're pissed anyway. That's the other side of this. Okay, Crown and Nation, what's up? Crow and Nation.
Crow Nation. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to make a comment here. Everybody keeps throwing around the word progressive, and they think that that's a good thing, and some people think that's a bad thing. But if you really knew the history of progressivism, I don't think you'd like it very much. If you go back to 1890, and I realize that's quite a long time, and nobody in this room was alive at the time, but if you study history, you'll find that progressivism was basically the incubus of what the Democrat Party has become. Because after the Civil War, the Democrat Party was pretty much they became the Dixiecrats, but they also became very disenfranchised. And this was an answer to that condition. And basically, they started out with prohibition, which I don't know if everybody knows what prohibition was, but that was basically banning all liquor, alcohol in the country, which in turn spawned the mob. Okay, because the mob came in and they supplied what was in demand, which was illegal liquor. So basically, they ushered into this country organized crime. And the problem that we're having now is that the Democrat Party is nothing progressive about it. It's actually regressive. It's going back to a mindset of communism. Okay, I know they like to dance around and say they're socialist, but socialist is just that's just a gateway drug to communism. Okay, and they're cutting to the chase. When you start talking about buying up all the property in New York City and making it housing for all, when you talk about having government-run grocery stores, anybody who's ever studied micro or macroeconomics can tell you straight up that's communism. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now we're at a critical point where we have to decide, are we going to be a communist country? Is that what you really want to go for? Because that didn't work in Russia. It's quasi working in China, but the Chinese population is oppressed.
Well, so a couple things on
ahead.
this. A couple things on this. So one, it's not really working in China. China has a number of problems, and let's not forget that always the result of any communism is that anytime there's a communist takeover, the first thing they have to do is go kill everybody that disagrees with it. So let's not pretend that when authoritarian regimes finally do rise, it's usually an extremely violent revolution when that finally does happen. And obviously it is still growing. The problem I have with it is that people still don't have any idea what communism is in this country, because we don't teach history anymore. So, we really need to get back to the point where we're actually telling people what communism really is, what it's done to the world, how many millions of people it has killed. Communism's killed far more people than Hitler ever did. But when no one talks about Stalin in the same way they do about Hitler. Like they don't talk about Mao the same way they do about Hitler. Like Hitler is the end all be all, but we've got two other leaders that killed millions more people than either of them combined, and we're just ignoring that.
Well, and also, Walter, you have Mussolini.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is where the problem starts, guys. Is that you're not being taught history.
Well, listen, humans make the same mistakes over and over and over again, unfortunately. The difference right now, and the reason that people really should be focused on it right now, is because if we make the same mistakes that we made in the early 20th century, right before World War II and World War I, if we make those same mistakes now, the amount of people that are going to die as a result of it is going to be tenfold what happened in World War II. The next war will be much, 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 much more devastating. All right, Jack Tron, you have your hand up. What's up, dude?
I just also wanted to say, did you see the post from Marco Rubio talking about he says today on building on POTUS's historic commitment to uproot Antifa's campaign of political violence, the Department of State is designated four Antifa groups as foreign terrorist organizations and specially designated global terrorists. The United States will continue using all available tools to protect our nation from these anti-American, anti-capitalist, and anti-Christian terrorist groups.
No, I did not see that. So that means that they're starting to go after Antifa as a foreign terrorist organization. Now, for those who were in the show yesterday, at the end of the show, we started talking about this because this is something that I thought needed to happen because obviously it's not just some ragtag group of people, guys. Like no one believes that, no one buys that, but they've been trying to tell everybody that for years, but it's never been true. So that's good. That's a huge step because a foreign terrorist organization actually has a whole lot more teeth to it than a domestic terrorist organization labeling is. So what did they say? Which four groups? Jatra?
On the post he's responding to a post called it's here. It's Antifa, spelled OST, is a terrorist organization based in Germany that is infamous for wielding hammers in premeditated attacks against unsuspecting victims. This Antifa group was named a terrorist organization by Hungary after it attacked 9 victims in Budapest. The International Revolutionary Front is an Italy-based coalition of violent anarchists. The group claimed responsibility for the shooting of an engineering executive in Genoa and sent a series of bombs to politicians, embassies, and civilian targets, injuring several people. Armed Proletarian Justice is a violent Greek anarchist group that pledged to wage armed conflict against police officers and state infrastructure. The terror group used dynamite to build a homemade bomb, then planted it near the Greek riot police headquarters and in a failed attack. Revolutionary Class Self-Defense is a violent anarchist and anti-capitalist group in Greece that claimed responsibility for improvised explosive device attacks targeting the Greek Ministry of Labor and the offices in a major railway. The Trump administration will continue to identify and disrupt Antifa's terror networks across the world. These terrorist designations deny violent organizations access to America's financial system and impose severe penalties on those who offer support to these military groups.
Well, there's a lot more that happens when you become a foreign terrorist organization. That opens up military funding to be able to hit them, which is, that's massive change. So that's interesting that they've now listed these specific ones out here. That means there'll probably be a lot more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more than just them.
So, which means that if they are going to be Antifa, does that mean we can see the army come in and shoot these people if they decide to start threatening people?
Well, so operating military on the homeland is not as easy as that. Okay, that's not as easy to do. Being able to actually use military troops for military action on the United States homeland there's a whole list of steps that you have to do. Now, what it does do is it opens up resources for intelligence. It opens up resources for signal tapping, all sorts of stuff. But the bigger thing is that the financial ties is where they'll be able to go after it. So they'll be able to start looking through all the different financial networks that they're connected to. And my assumption is once they start looking, they're going to start to see that all of these groups are all connected through the same organization, and they're probably going to be able to start really, really tamping down on it. So that's great news that they're starting to look at these. Because there'll probably be a whole lot more than just these few that are being added to that list, and it won't take very long. All right, we got Chris. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, and you said organization. Which organization do you think it is, in your opinion? I have my suspicions, but I want to hear from you.
I mean, naming it organization, I don't know. I mean, there could be. My guess is that it's going to be tied into the Soros network somehow. That's going to be what my thought would be. But we'll see. I mean, again, it's once they start looking into this, it eventually will probably end up being foreign funded, is what my guess is. Now, the question is, who is it that's working with the foreign funding? Is it CCP? Is it somebody else? Who knows? My guess is that a lot of this is going to be shown to be part of CCP stuff. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's smart and good that they're finally going after this because labeling it as a foreign terrorist organization they need to do that for some of the ones that are here in the United States because they are foreign terrorist organizations. That's just true. Okay, Chris, you just came up on stage. What's happening, Chris? How are you this evening? No, Chris. Earth to Chris. Okay, never mind. Guys, make sure you guys share this space out. This is the Political Theater. I'm your host, Walter Kurt. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys got something to say, you can always put a comment down below. If you want to come up and join the show, you are welcome to do so. You need to go to x.com, go to @WCDispatch, and you can join the show to be able to make commentary, or you can ask me questions, or you can just come up here and argue with me and tell me that the world's ending. And I'll tell you you're dumb, and, I'll laugh at you, but that's okay. So, all right, Crowan Nation, what's up?
Yeah, I have a question, Walter. How in the world does the CCP have the money to finance such an operation like Antifa?
How do they have the money to do this? The CCP has all kinds of money. I mean,
Yeah,
they've
but
got.
I mean, we're always hearing about how their real estate market's crashing.
Yeah, but they
their-
don't care. The difference is they don't care about their citizens. Their citizens can all be broke as hell. That doesn't mean anything to them. They'll just take it from them. They don't care if their citizens are starving. Like, you're forgetting, like, the Soviet Union, just is an example of this, okay? So the Soviet Union during the Chernobyl incident. The Chernobyl incident obviously was one of the biggest, one of the biggest disasters, nuclear disasters that's ever happened in all of human history. So this disaster, when that happens, the the Soviet Union was able to source 4,000 tons of a specific type of gravel from their entire network and just drop it on there instantaneously. I mean, they could just snap their fingers and have it happen. Okay, because they don't care where they get the resources from. They just take it. It's not the same as it's not like an American system where they have to worry about where they get the resources. If they need it, they just take it because they can.
Right, right. I just was curious because you're always hearing about how their markets are crashing and their money is dwindling, but yet they always seem to crop up by having these spy networks and
Well, listen, their market may be having issues because they're fighting with Trump, but to think that a $17 trillion economy just doesn't have any money and that the CCP doesn't have a ton of cash that they've used and done and shifted around and taken from people and done whatever they want with it, that's a fool's errand to think that they can't do stuff. It's a communist country. They can do whatever they want. I mean, they're still building ships right now. I mean, they're still building a massive military up as much as they possibly can. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work or not, but they'll still be able to provide stuff up until the very end of the entire regime. The bigger threat from the Chinese is not necessarily them running out of money. It's them running out of time. I think that's what people seem to forget about the Chinese a lot, is that because of their insane policies that they created, their population, there's a really, really good Wall Street Journal article that everyone should read on this. It shows their demographic problems. The demographics of the Chinese, like if you look at the way that a tree, like a human population on a normal tree, it goes up and then it gets larger in the center and then thins out as it gets to the top, just based on age, right? So there's more people in the middle section, in the middle part of it, and then their early 20s to mid 40s and 50s and later, and then after you get up, it starts to taper off. Well, the Chinese, because of their one-child policy, have a problem where it's almost like a mushroom, or up the top of that tree, their population is going to age, and then it's much smaller below that. There's some estimates that predict that by 2100, so in 75 years, that the Chinese population will be half of what it is today, which is a huge problem because their entire economy is based on manufacturing output based on their size. So if they can't fix that problem, which is why I say it's a time issue for them, there's one other way to get rid of population that you can use before you go into a scenario where you start to lose a large percentage of your population, and that would be war. So, people need to pay attention to that, because my worry with the Chinese is that they're in a scenario where their back is against the wall and they're running out of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. With the Chinese, when the communists took over China, they pretty much have drilled into their heads for generations that they will basically rule the earth.
Well,
And
that's not something that they had to really drill into their heads. The Chinese, if you look at the history of China, which I studied a lot of Chinese dynastic history, This has always been something for them. I mean, this is something they believed that their empire was designed to have a circular. They were the center of the universe, and the world came to them, and everything rotated around the center of their economy and their culture. That's what the Chinese. That's an ancient belief within the Chinese. So that's not something new. That was something that the Chinese co-opted from their culture that they tried to kill, but they can't get rid of a culture because it's existed for 20,000 years. You don't delete a culture no matter if you decide to make it communist or not.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, the biggest problem, like I said, with China is that my worry with China is that they have a time problem, not necessarily a money problem. So we'll see.
What do you think about all of these Chinese people in this country now?
Well, the Chinese have a different problem, and I know a lot of people like to say, well, the problem with the Chinese, like having all these Chinese visas, is that, well, if you have these people in here with visas, they could be spies. Yeah, that's true. They can be. But there's another problem that they have, okay? So if you guys understand what a Pareto distribution is, okay? So a Pareto distribution is essentially the way that the world works. A small percentage of people do all of the work, and those people are your most productive. They move your economy forward. They work the hardest. They build the businesses. They do everything. Well, to be able to do that, your best people are the people that do that, your smartest people. Now, if the Chinese, what do they do with all of their students? They send all of their students to America, and they send all of their students over here, and not all of them return to China. That's the problem. So if you're sending your best, your top 5%, and you're sending them to America to go learn and get an education, and they don't come back, okay, so what do you think happens if you would degrade your 5%? What happens then? Okay, so your 5% of your country, your best people, if you lose even 20% of that 5% when they come over here, if you lose 10% of that, your production output is cut drastically because you lost your best people. So it's people need to remember that, because I know a lot of Chinese people that have come here. They come here and then they don't leave. They're like, I'm not going back there. Hell no. Why would I go back there? That place sucks. I mean, that is a common sentiment, okay? It's not like it's the new thing. And what they used to do, the Chinese government, what they used to do is they used to pressure them by saying, well, if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill your family here in China. That was what they used to do. Well, the problem is now is that it used to be that the average Chinese person, about 50 years ago, the average Chinese person had about 12 extended immediate family members. There was tons of people. I mean, the average, if you guys go look at, there's a bunch of really interesting data on this, that the average Chinese woman back in the 1940s was having 7 children. That's like insane, right? So it's 7 children, right? Now it's 1, okay? And the average Chinese person has 1 uncle, okay? That's not 11 anymore. So their families, what are happening now is that they get to America and they say, don't come back. Don't care what they do to us. Don't come back. That is something that is happening. Okay, so that is yet again another problem for the Chinese. So they send their best people here. Some of them don't come back. If they don't come back, then they just lost some of their best people, and they're not going to convince them to come back in the opposite direction. Now, the flip side of that is that, Chinese spies is a problem. So, then the Chinese are notorious for stealing IP. That's something very interesting about the Chinese. Even though they have a higher education, they manage to focus on education. They do really well with education. But for some reason, there's something about the way that their culture is. They don't create new concepts. They don't create new ideas. They just steal it from other people, which is, that's something very unique. That's not the innovation part of Western culture is something that only really comes from America. There's nowhere else that does that right now. The innovation, everything that is technologically driven, really comes out of America. So that's something that the Chinese don't have, which is why they try and steal everything from us, because our IP is worth trillions of dollars. And if you go look at the numbers on this, I think there's the journalist named Jordan Schachtel that has this. He has the numbers on how much money they've stolen based on IP, and it's like, I think it's like $10-15 trillion or something like that in the IP that's been stolen from us. So these people we have a huge problem with the Chinese, but
well, it's not even about them stealing, Walter. I mean, the Clintons actually gave them a lot of our technological advances back in the 1990s.
Well, listen, corrupt politicians is a whole nother problem we have. Okay, we've had politicians that have wanted to sell out us forever, so that's not necessarily a new concept. And the Clintons obviously were one of those people, so that's yet another problem. Okay, we got another person up here on stage. What is up, Frelin?
Freeland, yes, it's me.
What's up?
Yeah, no, I was just listening to what someone was saying about the Chinese. And I just think that it's interesting that the Japanese are a little different when it comes to innovation, because what they do is they're not copying, they're doing their own stuff. So I just thought that it was an interesting, like, opposition to the Chinese. That's what I wanted to say.
It is kind of an interesting concept, right? Because the Japanese westernized really differently than the Chinese did. The Chinese never really truly, I don't think you could ever really say that they actually westernized. The Japanese, on the other hand, really did. I mean, if you look at the Japanese, they created all sorts of very interesting stuff, and their manufacturing is some of the best in the world. And in fact, even in America, the Japanese, they build factories in America because they think that American factory workers are really useful in creating quality stuff. That's why you see Toyota, Honda. That's why they build here. They build all their cars in the United States because they think they can build them better here. But you're right, it is a very interesting dynamic. But I don't know why that is. I mean, there's the difference between Japanese and Chinese culture is pretty vast, though. Even though they're in the same hemisphere, they're still pretty different. Okay, guys, if you'd like to come up here and join the show, we've got about 20 or so minutes left in the show. If you guys would like to join, make sure you go to x.com, go to @WC Dispatch, and you can ask questions, or you can come up here and make comments, or I can yell at you, and we can do whatever you want. If you really just want to be insulted, I'll come up here and I'll just argue with you. I mean, did you guys ever see the Monty Python skit where it's the 5 minutes? I'm here for an argument. No, you're not. I mean, that I'll happily recreate that skit with you. I mean, I have no problem. I do charge for that though. I mean, it is at least $10 an argument. And you won't like it. Okay, so that's fine. But you can do that as well. But come up here and join the show if you'd like to. If you have a comment, you can always put it down below, and I'm more than willing to have you read any of your comments. And I try to read as many as I can from all the streams. So thanks. Okay, let's see here. By the way, what's up, Chris? Oh, you're here now. What's up, Chris?
I was here. I was just letting folks talk. I was just hanging out listening. On the communism front, when it comes to the young folks, I think people tend to forget that when the USSR, actual communism, was around, the population of the world was like 1.7 billion, right? And so we have like 5-6 billion almost more people in this world that weren't around during the fall of the USSR. Like, they don't even know what that was like. They don't know any of that. So the only thing that they have, I mean, obviously there's these small third world countries that have Marxist dictators, but the only example they have is communist China, which is a hybrid model. So, like, obviously theirs was failing. So they went to a more of a neo-capitalist communist model where it's a charade of capitalism, but behind the scenes is fully communism. And so that's the only model they understand. So they hear about Che Guevara, they hear about all these things, and they think it's romanticized. Everybody can be, start on the same playing field. Everybody gets the same. All that, namaste, right? And so they don't understand the real consequences of that. They don't understand how brutal it was. They don't understand how horrible it was. You know what I mean? On the Soviet folks in general, on the Soviet Empire, the serfs, and so they're not taught that.
Well, that's true. One of the problems that I think we have right now is we live in a world where people have we kind of lived in this scenario after the fall of the Soviet Union, where things were really good for a few years. I mean, the early 90s and the early 2000s, people could kind of argue that was kind of almost a golden era, really, because there was no real major conflicts. And, it's only been 30 or so years, and now things are starting to show up again. So it's a lot of our generation seems to forget that, the world was never all sunshine and rainbows. Our political culture was not always all perfect and happy, and everyone argued and talked about nice things to each other. Okay. Like the 1960s and 70s, they were bombing things. Okay. Like, let's not pretend that we live in some world where this stuff doesn't happen and hasn't happened before. I remember arguing with somebody a few years ago. It was probably one of the funniest arguments I've ever had. They said, there's never going to be another civil war again. I'm like, okay, like, sure. Like, listen, you can believe whatever you want, but let me promise you something. Like, pretending as if the world has moved on, that human nature has changed somehow, is a fool's errand and very stupid. It's like this, and this is the same person, and within the same breath, tried to tell me that there'll never be another military draft ever again either. Like, sure. Okay, like you go right ahead and believing that, all right? I mean, like, look, dude, if you think that humans are done with war, you haven't been paying very much attention. That's all I'll say on that.
And that there is something, I mean, like what's happening in Great Britain, in United Kingdom is really bad because maybe a civil war is going to happen.
Listen, I have said that the UK has been headed towards a civil war for quite some time. And that was actually as a direct result of some of the friends that I have from UK telling me, they message me every now and then when I cover UK politics or UK like events or something like that. I've got people that follow me that are from there. And they used to message me and they said, thanks for talking about this. I can't because if I post it online, they'll arrest me. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, that ain't good, people. Like, when your own citizens are worried that they're going to be arrested for talking about very basic things happening in their communities, you're headed for something, and it ain't good, whatever it is. So, one of the other places people need to pay attention to is actually Ireland. Okay, so Ireland, the Irish right now are kind of they're in uproar, essentially, because of the immigration problems, like everywhere else. And I went to Ireland a couple years ago, and I was there for a couple weeks. It was really interesting because from Northern Ireland to Southern Ireland, from Ireland proper to Northern Ireland, which is still controlled by the British, the people, it is very interesting to see because these people are not nice. Like, they're not, like, they say that the Troubles is what they call them, like the terrorist events of the Irish, the IRA and all that. They say that's over. That shit ain't over, people. Like, when I was there, so I was in Belfast, okay? And I was walking down the street in Belfast, and then suddenly here comes a group of people in the middle of the street, and they were wearing these orange vests. And I was like, what the hell is this? And the tour guide said, you need to go inside right now. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm watching this. And then shortly before that, about 6 armored vehicles with fully automatic tactical team people get out and they walk alongside these people. And this is a Protestant protest, okay? And I was like, oh, yeah, that looks like those problems are all gone. You often need 8 armored vehicles with tactical teams to escort you down the street when things are fine. They also have what they call a peace wall in the middle of the city. The peace wall in the middle of the city is because they have to have 40 to 50-foot barriers because people kept throwing Molotov cocktails at the other houses on the other side of it. So, yes, very nice, very peaceful. I'm sure that's going just fine. Looks like there's no problems there whatsoever. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because the Irish are people that will be very angry at some point in the near future if you don't fix their problems. I mean, just go look at Conor McGregor rising to a political prominence is a very interesting factor.
He might become a leader, actually.
Yeah, he really might, which is crazy. I mean, like, Conor McGregor is that'd be great for Ireland, to be honest with you. It would be a good thing. So, I mean, you never know. But again, my point is that the Irish are another one of those people. So I would watch Ireland before I'd watch Britain for some sort of revolt of some kind.
And now they have Rosie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot Rosie O'Donnell moved over there. Well, maybe that's what'll cause the revolt. That's what'll cause the revolt, actually. They'll take one look at her and like, oh, shit. Like, all right, throw it out. It's over.
Hey, Walter, I have a question off subject. I wanted to find out, how is your source doing with the Fairfax thing? Because I watched her press release that you put up. Well, not her presser where she was talking about her lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
But how's she making out? Is she doing all right?
Well, I haven't talked to her in a couple days, or it's been probably since before the election I spoke with her. But I mean, now that the lawsuit's moving forward, I mean, I don't know how much I'll be involved with it. And now that it's a direct defamation lawsuit. But there was actually a story in the Washington Times, I believe, about that last week. I think there was. Okay. So there was a little bit of an update to it, but it wasn't any new information. It was the same stuff that I put out before. Now, the deal is that there was the interesting thing that they added in that Washington Times article was that they went through and pulled the numbers, and Fairfax County Schools has spent $44 million on legal fees in the past 4 years. So
that's not normal.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what happens when you're trying to pressure people. Oh, yeah, it's insane. Well, but you also have to look at how much the budget for this school is. It's a $4 billion budget. $4 billion budget. And this is, what a lunatic group of people that is. I mean, I really hope that all of those people that the state police investigation actually finds something and they go to prison. That would just make my day. Okay, Delta Kilo, you came up here. What's up, Delta?
Yeah, all right. Gentleman, half hour, 45 minutes ago, whatever. He was kind of full black pill. I'm not doing that, but I'm using him as a reference. If a much softer version of his concerns about things going badly, if let me just that's my lead in. So state of Florida. Think of myself as a conservative Republican, conservative Christian. Obviously, I very much like the political environment right now. This year, so much better than last year. A million things I could talk about. Focal point, having attended my county Republican Party meetings for over a year, I finally submitted an application to join. Now, local party leadership and the people who show up, I would say that they're pretty soft-handed. You know, kind of everybody knows everybody. Mixture of rural farmland, small urban areas. Okay, fine. But they're looking for new membership to join, and everybody's riding the wave. Hey, our side won the election. Everybody look at us. Do the Trump dance. Okay. So I had to sign up. I'm finally standing in front of the room with a cue card with some of the best things about me, some of my best professional and personal accolades, volunteer things, career military, combat veteran, et cetera, et cetera. I got a letter days later saying that my application had been denied for no reason. I wasn't told anything. So there's no transparency. There's no, sorry, here's what happened. It just so happens that I know someone, one of the officers of the board. So next month I talked to him like, dude, what is this? What's going on here? He's coming, oh, well, there was a rumor about you, something. What do you mean a rumor? None of you people know me. I've gotten to know you over the last 6-7 months from showing up and talking to you, sitting with you, drinking coffee, taking notes during the meetings while our various representatives and a senator come passing through and some other state representatives and stuff like that. So what it fast forwarded to is the local leadership, they don't really want good ideas. They're kind of small-minded. They're not thinking big picture. They're not understanding now is the time to do full-blown grassroots, to grow as many local resources and assets as you can so that we maintain the wins, so that we pulverize the Democrats into the Stone Age and win the midterms, because winning the midterms is not a foregone conclusion. Well, I spoke to some other people as well, and it's kind of what I say. 2, 3, 4 other people in the room who I've gotten to know, oh yeah, you know, that's just kind of how they are, and this and that. And look, there's more to it. I'm giving a summarized version.
Well, so listen, what's funny is that I know exactly what you're talking about. So what you're experiencing is something that a lot of people don't, and this is good for you. Glad that you went and got involved. That's great. What you're realizing, though, is that the local little GOP precincts, most of these things are little fiefdoms, okay? They're little fiefdoms with people that think about small things within their little fiefdom, and that's all they care about. Like, they don't really think about outside the fiefdom. They care about their little power structure that they've created in their little organization because it makes them feel good. So the problem is that a lot of these places are run by the same people that have been there forever. Like, I have no idea what the makeup is, but I can guess almost everyone's over 60. Very few people talk outside of that, and they've all been friends for 20 years. Am I right?
That and very close.
Yeah.
And these are the same people who you'll see working for the county supervisor of elections.
Yep.
So there's the tie-in as well.
Yeah. So again, this is the same thing that they all look like. Okay. So the problem is that these people have been in their precinct and they've run their precinct because no one's been there forever. That's the problem. So you're new blood coming in, and they don't want new because they want everything to stay the same as it always has. We're doing just fine. Look, we won. We're doing great. What are you talking about? We don't need to do anything different, even though they didn't do anything, right? I mean, like, the only reason anybody won is because Trump was on the ticket, and Trump is a unique politician. So what I would tell you need to do, and this is good that you got involved in it in the first place, but the difference is, so this is a Republican precinct, correct? So what you need to do is you need to go get 10 friends and then throw out all of their leadership. Now, let me explain something to you. They will hate you if you do this. They will despise you. They will fight you every step of the way. But that's what you have to do. There's a guy that you should meet. His name is Michael Thompson. He's a running for state rep down there in Florida. He's a good friend of mine. But he is one of the people that did this. Okay, so he went and did that, and he organized people, and he showed up, and he threw out a whole county precinct, and then he organized and made it a whole grassroots organization. And then he moved on. So he's the person to talk to on this because he knows the game. He knows how it's done. What I would say is that what you're dealing with is the old guard that is stupid and they don't know that they've not done anything and that no one likes them. Okay, like, that's who these people are. They have no clue that they're not popular. They believe that they are the best thing that's ever happened because they just won a giant election, according to them, even though they did nothing. So you have to get those people out. That's the deal.
I did a little bit of research. All right, so I found out who state of Florida GOP leadership is. Bill somebody, Emlich, I think. Anyway, I called the office, got a couple of, got to email address, et cetera, et cetera. I explained the situation. Yeah, send the guy an email. Okay. Concurrently, there was yet another meeting, and as it happened, Representative Kaylee Tuck and Senator Aaron Grawl showed up along with their own private security and some extra guests. All right, so it was quite a thing. We were given the opportunity to write down one question. So if you have 13, 14 tables in the room, 6, 7, 8 people at each table, I wrote down my question, I submit it. It ended up being second from last question out of 10 or 12 that were read. And it just it kind of ended up being the best question of all. I had presented some of what I've said to you. I had written it very neatly, very summarized. And Representative Tuck, she like paused and looks at the whole room. This is an excellent question. These are great ideas. All of this is critically important. We need to be doing this. All right, fast forward. So the meeting's done, closing comments from the county chair, obviously, whom I have a problem with. And she herself, oh yeah, we're going to start, I know that we haven't had any volunteers at the county office, but we're going to start doing that. And the phones haven't been working for 6 months, but we're going to start doing that. Nobody's monitoring this, and we haven't been communicating with the local precincts, but we're going to start doing this. All things from what I wrote on the little note card that our local district representative
what you've noticed is, what did I say before? They don't have any new ideas. Okay, they've got nothing. They've been doing this for 20 years. They've been doing the same shit. Those meetings that you walked in on, when you first got there, that meeting, the first one that you attended, was the same meeting that they've had every single time for 15 years. Okay, it's the same meeting at all of these places. They're all just like that. There's nothing different that happens at each one of them. All of these precincts are like that, and it's because no new blood has come into the Republican Party in so long. Okay, so the last time people really started joining the Republican Party en masse was really probably right before Bush. Like right around the end of Clinton is when the Republican Party started to grow a little bit. And then after Obama came in, it went down. Then after Obama, 8 years of Obama, and then Trump came in, and it was a whole different wave. People weren't really sure if they wanted to be Republican. And then 2020 happened, and then everyone was all freaked out, and then a lot of people started joining the Republican Party. So, but the difference is that a lot of people that came into the Republican Party now, they don't know anything about it. Like they don't actually know the structure of the organization. They don't know how it operates. They don't know what precincts are. They don't know what precinct captains are. They don't know what any of that stuff is. So that stuff needs to be brought forward. There's actually a guy that has actually talked about this extensively. It's a guy it's called precinct strategy. So there's about 200,000 open Republican precinct chairmanships open across the country right now because there's so few people that have joined them or even paid attention to them because people stopped realizing that your local GOP politics is how things actually get done within the party. So all of these people that you're talking about, they've been there for 10, 15 years, and no one cares, and they don't ever think anything's going to change. So what you did is you showed up, you presented new ideas, and they went, oh no, there's a new guy with ideas. Get him out of here. That's what happened. Okay, that's exactly what happened. Get the guy with the ideas out of here. He might change stuff. We don't want that. That's what happened.
The Michael Thompson name that you referenced, I wrote that down. Kind of common enough name. So my question is, how am I looking for this guy? As in, where will I find him at? What's he do, or who's he work with, other than just generally state of Florida or national?
Let me see if I can pull his information for you. He's a friend of mine. I haven't talked to him in a while. He actually had a problem with I have his phone number. I can send it to you as well, by the way. But he would be the person to talk to, especially for Florida. So. But let me see if his account got reactivated. He was having issues with it, so let me see if it's back up now.
All right, I'm listening in the background. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for coming up here, dude. Let me see if his account is still activated. Because I know he was having problems with it. This is a couple weeks ago where he had this problem. Let me see if I can find it. No, it doesn't look like his main account is back yet. So he apparently he had issues with it, and then it got deactivated, and he's been trying to get it back for a minute now. I'll see if I can find it. I have his contact information regardless, but I'll make sure you get in contact with him because he's the person to talk to about Florida politics, man. He is all over it. He knows a lot of people, and he's really good on the ground. So if you want to figure out how to take over your precinct, he is the guy to talk to. So I'll make sure you get his information because again,
what's his name again?
Michael Thompson. You've talked to Michael before on Jacktron. He's been in here 100 times.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Hey,
Yeah.
Walter, if you are able to message me that, I don't have a verified account. I don't think I'll be able to message you to request it.
No, you will be able to. I just have to follow you, so it'll be fine. Yeah, I'll follow your account. You'll be fine. I'll make sure you get in contact with him because down in Florida, that's the only person I trust to be able to get you anything close to what you're talking about. Because again, you're dealing with a fiefdom of people that are ridiculous, and they are stupid and old, and they have no idea what they're doing wrong, and they don't like you because you might do something. They're terrified you might do something, and for the love of God, you can't do anything. Why would you do something? Like, we're all happy here. We've had the same kind of coffee for 10 years. Like, what do you want to change it for? Look, what's wrong with you? Okay, Sunlight, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, it's more like a coffee social. Been there and done that. Been to the state convention, back in the day, and talk about disrupting the apple cart. They wanted anything but a populace, to come up with new ideas on how to expand the tent. And the thing that's really frustrating, Walter, I mean, you hit on a great point, is that these precincts, roll up, of course, into a county structure, and the county structures, in particular in Texas, I mean, they don't collaborate, they don't leverage resources. They're all their own little stovepipes. They have their own nomenclature, their own way of setting up their handles on X, on Facebook, on what have you. So there's no commonality amongst these things. I mean, just go do a test. I mean,
Well,
wouldn't be cool.
that's part of the reason for that, Sunlight, is because the RNC, as a national organization, has the exact same problem that these little organizations do. It's the same problem. It's just on a larger scale, and they're just as stupid. Like, they're just as dumb. They are no better than any of these little tiny precincts. They're just as useless, which is why I tell people that the GOP is a defunct moronic institution that should be ripped down from the bottom up. I mean, that's what should happen. Which is why Delta is smart to actually go and get involved, because if he rallies people and starts to get that precinct, and that happens all across the country, that would be great. I think that's a great thing. Go ahead,
Yeah, one
Sunlight.
precinct at a time. But you could look at the state GOPs even then, to go try and figure out, what the handles are. I actually compiled them into into a string on X, just so that you could, hit all the state GOPs at the same time. But even our representatives, in the state legislature and also in the Congress, they have all kinds of different naming conventions, across the board. So, and then the lack of understanding how to leverage social media, for cohesive messaging. All the wins. Scott Bessent was just in South Carolina, for example, Walter. Talking about a battery plant that's going in and another thing. And it was like, well, where was the focus on Virginia and New Jersey? All the investment that Trump has brought into those two states in the strategic election that just took place, and focusing on
Listen to me. I could rant for 2.5 hours about how terrible the VA GOP is. Okay, that is. I mean, I heard someone say today. I was on John Fredericks this morning. He said that there's nothing there. It's just a burnt coffee pot with a beeper. I mean, that's it. That's all they got. Like, that's the entire organization of the VA GOP. I mean, that election was a winnable election, and they completely dropped the ball. They did nothing. Okay, like, you don't lose. Let me explain something to you. Like, there's some people that want to be like, well, the candidate wasn't great or whatever. Blah blah blah. Look, guys, you don't lose by over 10 points when the candidate's bad. That means you didn't do shit. That means you did nothing. That means you were useless. You didn't have a ground game. You didn't have activists. You didn't have anything. You screwed up.
You're not holding back.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen to me. I spent 4 months trying to get this organization to do anything. Spent 4 months trying to win in Virginia, getting people motivated, people activated, trying to do anything I could, and they did nothing. So I'm not real happy with them. But maybe I'll be able to fix some of this stuff. The GOP is not one of my favorite institutions.
That's the thing, is that if you could, you have, like, you've been on the ground, you understand what's going on. Scott Pressler understands what's going on. There's like 2 or 3 key things to focus our efforts on. I thought your Abbey Gate series was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was going to stick, kind of like the Willie Horton.
Listen to me. Listen to me. The Abbey Gate series. This is a perfect example of this. Okay, like, this is a key hit against their entire campaign, right? A key hit. The entire Abigail Spanberger campaign staff is involved in a defamation lawsuit against a veteran who they defamed in her district when she was the representative who represented him. Okay, so she was in Congress, she defamed a constituent, and they didn't talk about it. They didn't talk about it. No one talked about it. I was the only reporter that talked about that story. It blew my mind that no one talked about that. There was one other guy, Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal, that actually wrote the story, and I gave it to him. I gave him the whole story. I said, here, talk about it. Send it out. Nobody in the GOP talked about that story. Mind-blowing. I mean, like, what are you doing? You had an absolute trebuchet hit against the entire Democrat campaign, right? You had it. You did nothing. I gave all of the ammunition to these people. I gave them everything on a silver platter, and they didn't use it. It's just why I'm like, whatever. You lost for a reason. I'll just say that. Like, I mean, it's just like, it's such an obvious thing. I broke 2 major national stories in that state trying to get stuff for them to use against the Spanberger campaign, and they did nothing. Okay, like they didn't even talk about it. Like it's completely mind-blowing to me. Like the Fairfax abortion scandal, that could have been a way bigger piece of the campaign. They could have talked, like when they bring up abortion, right? Why wasn't there ads running the next day whenever the Spanberger campaign's talking about abortion? It's like, well, why didn't you run ads the next day? So, well, do you want your 5-month daughter to have an abortion with a 5-month pregnant daughter to have an abortion without you knowing about it? Because that's what they want. And that kills the abortion question. I mean, it destroys it. But no, we don't want to talk about it. We're just going to run on something. We're going to cut taxes. Yeah. Woo. Oh, that's it. People love that. Taxes. Cut the taxes. That's the only thing people care about.
Yeah, sadly, watching Winsome Sears, you remember the old ad campaign, Walter, in the Army, we're an army of one. She was like an army of one. She was out there by herself. It was like dangling in the wind. It was like they hung her out there, in the wind, swinging in the breeze with no one around her.
Well, listen to me. There's a bunch of things about this that didn't make any sense to me. And this is why I was so mad at the GOP in Virginia, because when I was on the ground, one of the things I didn't talk about until after the election was over, because I was still trying the best I could to get people to go out and do stuff. But the Virginia consultants, the Republican consultants, I would say about 60 to 70% of them, when I talked to them about the campaign, they tried to convince me not to support the ticket. Like, I was like, what is wrong with you people? Like, what are you morons talking about? Do you want the CIA lady in? Like, I mean, is that what you want? Like, you don't like the candidate? Get over it. You just put Jay Jones in office. He wants to shoot you. You morons. I mean, like, it's amazing to me that that's what this happened. I mean, like, they were so stupid that they all fought with each other and they just said, well, I don't know if I like this candidate. They didn't come to my cocktail party this last week. You moron. I mean, just such idiots, dude. They're complete idiots. Drives me insane, really. I mean, whatever. And this is why I tell people, like, I don't get demoralized about this stuff, because if those people are so stupid that they can't figure out how to run a campaign and win against somebody who didn't do any press conferences, who literally ran away from cameras, like, if you can't win against that person, then I'm going to have no problem beating you. Like, I'm going to have no problem destroying what's left of your useless little organization and taking it over and doing something else with it if I have to do that, which turns out I might end up doing that. That'll be fun. But we'll see. That's the future. That'll probably be coming down the road. So, guys, I think we're going to shut down for the evening. This is 11:15, so thank you guys for showing up here this evening. This is The Political Theater. I am Walter Kurt. Thank you guys for being here this evening. Make sure you guys follow this show on Spotify, on Apple. Make sure you go to YouTube, Rumble. Make sure you guys check us out there. And I will see you guys tomorrow night for Friday Night News on The Political Theater. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks, guys.
Some folks are born with a liberty spark, their hearts beat red, white, and blue. When the anchors sneer and the cameras bark, they turn the lens right back at you. Truth bound, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not the party line sons, no, we ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Some folks inherit silk-lined halls, spend our sweat while preaching share. But when the tax man wraps his knuckles raw, their mansions suddenly look bare, impaired. ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not their banker raised hares, no, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Yeah, some paint stars on press room lies and send the common men to toil. Ask them, how much truth will you trade tonight? They mutter, more noise, more noise, more noise. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. Not the theater's pawn's friend. It ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're America's steadfast ones.